Good morning, folks. Good afternoon, good evening, depending on where you are. Happy Tuesday. It's Tournament Tuesday. We're just gonna start with some packs. So, gosh, I forgot to mute myself again. I hope you guys can't hear that. I hate hearing my own voice. Anyhow, welcome to the stream. Good to see you guys. Hello, Cavicom. Good morning, BF Bombers. Good morning, everybody else. There's a lot of people. I'm not gonna name all of you, but thank you for hanging out with me today. I appreciate it. My hair is a mess. I'm exhausted. We'll talk about that in a minute. Let's just open 15 packs with the decimals too. This is our Iron Tournament team that they fill their main team by packs. So they've had a little bit of luck lately. They won their Stone Championship last year, which is pretty cool. So we'll see if we can get any good Iron cards for these guys. Maybe we'll get a big hit. We're going to open some packs with the real decimals later. And we'll talk about the real decimals later too. We're doing bronze today. I am very tired. I will talk about... Thanks, Mr. Devil Dog, on the congrats. It was an interesting day. I'll talk about my team in a little bit. I didn't love them. I think we got a little lucky, but we'll talk about them later today. What do I want to call it? Let's call it a Kid Nichols drop in pack number 5 is what we're going to call it. Oh, you only go for 48,000. Whatever. You're going to upgrade this team. Kid Nichols will play on this team. We got a 100 stuff, 76 movement, 82 control, 111 stamina. Terrible defense at pitcher. Is 70 inches tall. When did they start adding height in there? Has that always been there? That's interesting. We got a third baseman, Don Lang, here too. So, good start to the packs. Why not? We'll save that. That's fire pull. Guys, I'm tired today. It's, so I decided I wanted to add some things to the spreadsheet. How do I look on the camera? That's way up there. Let's fix that. You guys don't need to see the top of my head. Is that a little better? Out there. Out there. Is that better? I'm way behind. Let's see where that put me. That looks a little bit better. Okay, I'm very tired. So I decided I wanted to add some things to the spreadsheet. And they're in there now. But... in the process, I broke some stuff. So I was up till 3 o'clock this morning trying to fix it. And when I went to bed, it was fixed. It was slow, but it was fixed. Then I woke up this morning and it wasn't fixed anymore. So you guys are going to have to bear with me just a little bit today. My macros died. All of my macros in my Excel spreadsheet died. I can't find them. I don't know where they are. I don't have the time to find them right now, so we're going to be hand jamming some numbers today. It shouldn't be too bad. The spreadsheet is running a little bit slow as well, so just keep that in mind. But I got to add a couple things to it as well. See, we got a Trey Turner here. We're going to add Kid Nichols later today. We'll add Kid Nichols now. Why not? We got 3 packs left. See what we get. We got Logan Gilbert here, too. Another solid pitcher upgrade for the decimals version number 2. Master Series is dead to you. You went out in round 1 and then won a daily 128. Oh, that's rough. Is Heavy Johnson in the spreadsheet? You'll buy him for last 10. He is not in the bronze spreadsheet. He is in the gold spreadsheet, but I haven't updated that one yet. And we'll close it out with Eugene Ryu. So solid run of 15 packs there. We got a couple live golds. We got a Kid Nichols. We'll drop. We'll keep Garrett Crochet. Let's drop. It might be time to drop Wayne Twitchell, guys. I think we're going to drop Twitchell. We'll add Kid Nichols to the roster, and then we'll go to our pitching staff, and he's going to replace Jack Flaherty and take over as our number 1 starter, and Bieber will move up to number 2. There we go, and we're going to call it number 1. Submit team. Let's see if that's submitted. I don't know if that's submitted in time. We might have gone over the 30-minute mark there and lost our export, which is possible. What's up, Cause Longhorn? Also, sorry I wasn't here last week, and we had, life, work, stuff. We did miss it, for sure. Let's do this. Manage cards. We're going to activate Kid Nichols. It did not go through in time. We're going to go to roster management. We're going to do this again. We're going to take Twitchell out. Finally, we're going to throw Nichols back in. We're going to go back to the pitching staff. We're going to put him in at number 5, and then he's going to move everybody down 1. And what? Weird stuff going on in my rotation right now. Bieber is at 18%. So let's swap him with Strasburg. We'll just move Bieber down all the way. I don't know what happened there. That was weird. You can be middle relief. Jack Flaherty. Those are our packs. That was our packs with the decimals too. Let's move over to the decimals and get started on the spreadsheet, shall we? Shall we? He is pretty bad. I don't want him in there, but that team hasn't had a lot of luck with drops yet. Bieber is not great. Yeah, we're improvising just a little bit today, for sure. So it's going to be a real test. I forgot my password. There we go. Getting knocked out of bronzes already this morning. We took a second place today, which is nice. 5 packs there. We'll open, and we're going to use our rewards from the Masters Series to open packs over here. So we'll open about 30 packs. I'm going to throw them in another bronze tournament just to, you know what, let's not do that. Let's throw them in a gold tournament and a bronze tournament. So I can start pulling data on gold again too. I'm very tired. Oh no. It got filled. Oh well. We'll grab that later. So your spreadsheet looks like this. We added some things for the catchers. Man, I had this working so well last night. It was awesome. I was really excited. I was very disappointed when I woke up this morning and it didn't work. I was very sad. I have not updated the overlays, so we don't have the all-time stuff here just now. That'll hopefully be here next week. I have some optimization issues that I have to work on for next week. And so we're going to start with catchers. You'll notice that I added catcher ERA, runner thrown out, and stolen bases against per 9 back into the spreadsheet. I'm happy about that, but bear in mind that catcher ERA and stolen bases against per 9 are kind of anecdotal because it's only when they're listed as a catcher. So if they're playing other positions and they get innings played at other positions, it may affect their catcher ERA and their stolen bases against per 9 innings. Shouldn't affect a guy like Bob Barton who only plays catcher, but guys who play first base, guys who, especially when you look at like Iron with Kiner Falefa, you may see it mess that up. Runners thrown out percentage should be pretty accurate though. Other changes I've made to the hitters this week. I am ranking players based purely off of WAR this week. We're going to see how it goes. That is something I can change very easily. So we're going to see what you guys think. And I will accept feedback on that because I'm not sold on whether it's what I want to do or not. Obviously, the offensive value is still in here. The defensive value is still down here. Current, you got the current and the all-time over here. All of this data is from the last week. I started the spreadsheet over. So you're going to notice today as we go through that this is exactly the same as this. And if it's not, it's because I fudged something up. So we'll see what happens there. Macros don't work right now. They crashed the sheet. It's very sad. I am not happy about it. And so what's going to happen as we go through is I'm going to have to go up here and adjust our rankings. And then we'll just kind of go. We'll do it as we can and see how it goes. So Bob Barton came in number 10 this week. Oh, down here. These are by position. As well, so another update there. I don't know if you guys can see these. They look like they're probably pretty hard to see. I'm going to get rid of our formula bar too, just to make a little bit more room. I should have gone to bed last night instead of working on stuff because it didn't do any good anyway. Let's see if I can fix that. There we go. There we go. Whoa, I hate you right now, spreadsheet. Really, really hate you right now. And so down here, these are positional averages. So these are your averages for all of your qualifying catchers. So not all catchers, just the guys who qualified for the list. So the 17 guys who qualified with more than 600 plate appearances over the last week. These are the averages for them. So you got your average on base percentage, slugging, OPS, weighted on base average, yada, 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 which is cool. It's going to be a whole bunch of different sheets today instead of bouncing through and updating them all on one sheet. I am rambling right now because I'm very tired. How much does WAR take defense into account? Curly Kirkovice, it varies by position. So that's why I'm kind of going with WAR. Drops to become stale. Let's see. What else? You love 99 rated cards. If you're new to this game, you are confused. I don't know what that means. What else did I miss? We love Bob Barton. You love Bob Barton? What's up, Mr. World? And let's see. So WAR, it depends on the position, different positions. If you adjust WAR for catchers for framing effects, then you can do it there too. Around, no one likes a quitter. Am I a quitter? Can you enlarge just one click? Let's see. How's that? Is that a little bit better? See if we can get that whole thing in. Maybe that's a little better. We lose Woba at the bottom. I mean, whatever you guys want, that's fine. Let's try this. Let's go 105 here instead and see if that looks better. Holy smokes, we need a... That's better. I like that. How's that? Is that a little bit better? Sleep is... Yeah. He used Austin Barnes, Bob Barton. Barton was number 1 last week. I like Barton. You're looking at card of... They do play other spots if needed, but the catcher ERA is not affected by that. Okay. It might be in mind because of the way that... because of the way I calculate stuff in the spreadsheet and where stuff is calculated, it may be affected in the spreadsheet. I think it is affected in my spreadsheet. In fact, I would go to say I'm 99% sure that catcher ERA may be affected by... We'll see when we get guys who play other positions. If they have a super exorbitantly low catcher ERA, then we'll live with that. Behind... Yeah, it's a little bit... You have a 2.5-week-old baby, you don't know what sleep is anymore. Yeah, I got kind of used to sleeping. I haven't slept much the last few weeks. You know, waking up at 7 to get the kids to school and then working till 11:30 at night has worn me out. And then last night, kind of kicked my tail. But Bob Barton's at number 10. He dropped to 300 weighted on base average, so not great. 261 batting average, 310 on base percentage, 365 slugging. Everything's about midpoint there on your rate stats for your Bob Barton among catchers. 17 qualifying catchers with 600 or more plate appearances. Did drop a 2.02 WAR, which puts him at number 10. Catcher ERA just over 4. You know, middle of the pack in home runs, 1.51 steals per 600, 105 strikeouts per 600. Both of those in the middle of the pack. Doesn't walk too much. He's kind of okay. I like him versus lefties. I think if you can put him in just versus lefties, you're probably going to get a little bit more. I have a feeling that a lot of this is not as a platoon. I don't think people platoon catchers quite as often as some of the other positions. But I think Barton's a solid guy here at number 10. This is where it gets really annoying, guys. Ready? Are you ready for this? We're going to go like this, and we're going to go number 9. Oh my God, this is awful. Let's see if it crashes. Don't crash. There we go. Danny Jansen comes in at number 9. How annoying is that? That's pretty bad. You guys might not be back next week. Everybody might quit the stream after this week because we're going to do this all day. Batting average 229 is 12th. On base percentage of 304 is 10th. Catcher ERA of 416 is 9th. Wait a minute. Hold on. I need to fix that. Where are you at? This needs a 1. Advanced. Let's bring the formula bar back. And we're gonna... There is a 1. Interesting. Let's see. So he's... Where are we at? Let me make sure that this is actually calculating correctly. Let's see. So number 1 is... right here. And I should just go with this today instead of all that other stuff. Yeah, I mean, it looks okay. Okay, so we're just going to go here then, and we'll call that good. I thought it was botched, but it was not. 4.16 catcher ERA. My bad, guys. We're way out of sorts today. I tried to fix it right up till the end here. I was trying to fix it, and then 20 minutes ago, I was like, you know what? We're just going to revert to what we were doing before, and that's where we're at now. So Jansen does hit some home runs, so 14 home runs. Maybe just do top 5. Yeah, maybe. We'll see how the catchers go. By the way, you sorted the Twitch thing. You asked me about Nick Lino, as you said. Awesome. I'm glad you got that figured out. You wish we got unlimited Twitch packs today. Yeah, no, we're still going to finish on time. We're just going to... We might just do like a top 5 or a top 7. This will still be going when you get home from work. Nope. We're burning through it now. Danny Jansen came in at number 9, 2.17 WAR per 600. So defensively, he's valued at 7th, offensive value at 10th. We've got 12th in batting average, 304 on base percentage, 7th in slugging, 10th in OPS, 10th in weighted on base average. A little bit of power, middle of the pack in strikeouts and walks. Decent WAR at number 9. The good news is I don't have to talk about current and all time. And I might get fired today based off of the way the stream's going right now. So, you know, the speed, there's not a lot of speed here. Some sack bunt, some bunt for a hit. The catcher ability is middle of the pack. It is what you get. You get what you get with Danny Jansen. I don't think he's a terrible choice because he is going to hit for a little bit of power for you. He'll get you a little bit of slugging. And the defense is middle of the pack. There's not a lot of guys that give you offense and defense here at bronze. And so I think Jansen's kind of one of those similar to Stallings. There's a lot of guys that are similar to Jansen and Stallings that are kind of like a middle of the pack option. Keibert Ruiz came in at number 8. And so you can see he's, for crying out loud, he's your second most used catcher. Whoops. See what that messed up. No, not you. You. There we go. He's your second most used catcher this week with 10,000 plate appearances. I like this card. I think he's a pretty solid platoon option with a couple of guys here. Hits a little bit better versus righties. The defense is 9th, but again, you get that high level of catchers, the Barnes and, the Ali Sanchez, who's not really usable, I don't think, at this level. And then you get a whole bunch of catchers that are kind of mushed in there between the catcher arm, the catcher ability, and the catcher defensive rating. Catcher ability is the thing that I value the most highly out of the defensive stuff, especially here at bronze where there's not a ton of stolen bases right now. But I think Ruiz platoons really well. The avoid Ks with the decent contact, the good gap power, and a little bit of power there against righties. You definitely want to platoon if you're going to use Ruiz. I don't think he's not really suited to being an everyday catcher. His versus lefties stuff is not great. And I actually think that if you can platoon him, I don't think he gets platooned as much as he probably should because people see the switch hitter and are like, oh, we're just going to play him every day. A little bit, but I think you can actually coax a little bit better numbers out of this than what you're seeing here. A 260 batting average, though, isn't bad. He's above the catcher average in just about every offensive category. 677 OPS, more than 10 home runs. Don't run. Set him to not steal any bases for me, please. Not going to strike out middle of the pack in walks, with pretty okay defense to go along with it. Again, platoon him if you can, but I think Ruiz is a good option. He's actually the guy that I ran through the tournament with. We'll talk about the other guy I ran through when we get there, but I think that he's okay versus righties. I'm the only one who talks bronze. Yeah, that's fair. Unfortunately, saving up sleep was futile. Yeah, that's true too. Yeah, do I look angry today? Just frustrated. I'm very frustrated. I did add some more stuff to the everything though. Astudillo is not going to strike out. Good batting average for him. Good on base percentage, middle of the pack on base percentage. The slugging, the OPS, the weighted on base percentage. This is a really good offensive card right now. A 67 rated catcher. Number 1 in strikeout avoidance. 3,000 plate appearances. Defensively, he's a tick below those other guys who are clustered in the middle, right? You're going to get good offense out of him, but your defense is going to suffer just a little bit. And if you're not a guy who chases, if you're not, or girl, who chases catcher ability, my wife's trying to give me frozen chocolate to chill me out a little bit. That looks terrifying. If you're not one of those people who's really chasing catcher ability, then I think you can live with Astudillo. You can't use him, he can't steal. Yeah. You're giving Sporer a shot today. Good luck. I'm in there too. I'm going to make some changes to it a little bit. You like Keibert and Williams. I think this is a cool card. I think it's a fun card that's never going to strike out. The ball he's never going to walk either. So the ball is going to be in play in every one of his plate appearances. Like almost all of his there were 65 out of 600 plate appearances. So 91% of the time or so, the ball is going to be in play, which is useful even if he wasn't having a high batting average. That ball being in play is going to move other runners around, especially if you're running a high speed offense. It can really help you out a little bit there. And so the combination of good avoid Ks with good contact, and again, the catcher ability is a little bit low, but he's just a really small notch, I think, below that middle tier of catchers, that second tier of catchers here in bronze. So Astudillo comes in at number 7. I don't hate this card. I am not currently using him, but I don't hate it. Let's see who's number 6. Number 6 is any day now, Wilbert Robinson. This is one that I'm not sure I've seen too much of. Just over 1,000 plate appearances this week for Robinson. Good looking avoid Ks. The eye is low, so it's not an elite avoid Ks like Astudillo. I think he's almost unusable defensively, though. He dropped 2.35 WAR per 600, a good batting average, good on base percentage, good slugging, good OPS, and a good weighted on base average for him. Top 10 England catchers in home runs. Can run a little bit as well, so he's probably getting a little bit of WAR there. Double plays per 600. Yeah, maybe. I don't track that. I have grounded. That's something I could probably add pretty easily is double plays per 600, but we'll see. It was a Reese's that has probably been in the fridge for too long and froze and is no longer frozen and now looks like it's a little bit unfrozen. And so I like the profile. I'll be honest, I haven't seen too much of this guy. I think this is a hitting profile that can hit versus lefties and versus righties. The problem you're going to run into is that he's not a very good defensive catcher. So you're definitely going to have to live with bad defense from this one if you're going to go after the offense from your catcher position, which is totally valid. If you're running all offense, if you're just looking to outscore the other team as much as possible, and gosh darn it, we don't care about letting up runs, I think Robinson's a good option there. 311 weighted on base average is fourth among catchers. And you think he's the best catcher? Interesting. I did not fix the sheets. The sheets are not fixed, Karen. I wish. We're hand jamming stuff today. My macros died, and so we're just hand jamming stuff. So that's your number 6 catcher. Some people like him as the best. 2.35 WAR per 600 is what rated him number 6. You've used him since day one. You think he's the best catcher. Interesting. Best player to ever come from Bolton, Mass. Being from Massachusetts, I can't imagine there's too many good players from Bolton. Andrew Knapp comes in at number 5, dropping a 2.57 WAR on us. There's not going to be a lot of going back and forth today, guys, so bear with me. If you're like, hey, who is number 7? I'm not going to be able to do that today. It'll be fixed for next week. I really sincerely apologize for the state of the spreadsheets right now. 2.57 WAR for Knapp. Again, second tier of catchers defensively. Offensively, you're seeing a 239 batting average, which is bad, but the on-base percentage is pretty okay. He's hitting some home runs. The weighted on-base average has him third among catchers at a 313, which is pretty high. I don't love this card that much. I know he's kind of a similar profile to some of the other cards. It's a very walk-dependent on-base percentage. I actually definitely like the guy we saw before this, whose name I already forgot because, 3 hours of sleep, and Robinson. I actually like Robinson's profile much better than this because it's giving you a lot more offense. I just think it's such an empty weighted on base average and an empty on base percentage because he's not going to run and the ball's not going to be in play often. So you got, as opposed to Astudillo, where it was 65 plate appearances where the ball didn't get put in play. Now you're looking at 250 plate appearances where the ball's not getting put in play out of 600. That's almost half of his plate appearances, guys, that the ball's not in play and it's not doing anything. I don't love this card as much as it's at number 5. I just don't like this card, and it doesn't provide me anything defensively either. The keyword is ability, not overall defense, because catcher arm is not as important as catcher ability. Yeah, that's fair. There's a couple of us here. PJ Sleaze. Bolton Mass Facts. Yeah, Karen likes to bring facts. She's fun. If you don't watch her streams, go watch her streams too. Let's see. Robinson and Dexter is the perfect combo at catcher. That's interesting. Knapp is way down on my catches. Oh, something else I forgot to say at the beginning. The plate appearances here, because of the way stuff is sorted now, are plate appearances at this position. So guys who have multiple positions, you're only going to see their plate appearances at this position. So they have to have 600 plate appearances at a specific position to qualify for that position. I'm still working on that stuff. Stallings has a catcher ERA of 4, a runners thrown out percentage at 13th at 25.48. But again, there's not a ton of steals right now at bronze, and is 11th in stolen bases against per 9 innings at catcher. Offensively, he's number 6. Defensively, he's number 8, dropped to 2.75 WAR. I go back and forth on this card. I think the catcher ability is pretty good with a solid if unspectacular arm, with a pretty good offensive profile. I've kind of moved on from him. You get good rate stats out of him, but the strikeouts are concerning to me, and the combination of strikeouts and not a ton of walks with not that much power. I just think you can get a little bit better out of a catcher. I used to really like Stallings. He was my go-to for a little while. I've since moved on to a Ruiz, and right now I'm using I'm using Al Evans as my platoon with Ruiz right now, but I'm considering some other guys after going through this list, and so we'll see if I decide to make any changes. I don't know. But it was Ruiz and Evans who got me through the tournament this weekend. So that's Stallings at number 4. Oh my God. I might make it. Are you guys going to make it through this stream? Because I might not. Make sure that I watch my normal streams too. I'm pretty rad. Yeah, I stream every now and then. I'm on a little bit of a hiatus right now. It's just Monday and Wednesday right now. I did the show yesterday. Oh, I shouldn't have said that. I said that on stream, didn't I? Jonathan Lucroy comes in at number 3. Offensively, he's dropped a little bit over the last couple days. When this spreadsheet first got done, he was pretty far and away the best offensive catcher out of all of these guys. He dropped to 2.96 WAR, which is good for third. 4.6 home runs, not a lot of power, but the on-base percentage, the batting average are pretty good. He avoids strikeouts. He walks, so he's second in strikeout avoidance, 7th in walks. Slugging percentage is a little bit low. The OPS at 689 is kind of okay. The weighted on base average at 308 is 7th among catchers. So 7th offensively. Defensively, again, it's that bottom tier of those middle level of the catchers here. He's 14th out of 17 defensively in catcher value based off of his ability being a little bit lower than I would like even at this level. A 50 catcher ability is a little bit low for me. Perhaps use him as a designated hitter, maybe against left-handed pitching. I want to like this card a lot. I'm just not sold on it. I don't love it. So yeah, that's Lucroy at number 3. Number 2. I don't even know if my guy made the top 10 right now. I'm starting to get concerned that I'm making bad choices. Ed Mcfarland at number 2. I'm pretty sure my guy didn't make number 1. Ed Mcfarland comes in at number 2. 1,200 plate appearances for him this week. Good gap power. We're looking at the number 1 batting average among catchers, number 1 on base percentage, number 1 OPS, number 1 weighted on base average. Again, really solid offensive profile for Mcfarland. Unfortunately, it's a pretty spectacularly bad defensive profile for Ed Mcfarland. A 52 catcher ability, and a 54 catcher arm with a 51 catcher defensive rating. Again, the catcher ability at 52 is just a little bit lower than I'm really comfortable with. Although, with those kind of offensive numbers, maybe I could be convinced to be okay with it. The catcher ERA is 4.33, which is a little bit scary. The stolen bases against of 1.32 per 9 innings is pretty scary. The runner throw out percentage of 23.33 is really scary. This is not a very good defensive catcher. He's just not good, but he put up a 3.21 WAR, and so he came in at number 2. Love this offensive profile at bronze. I really like it. He's got just enough speed and steal ability to be useful on the bases. 18 steals per 600 seems a little bit higher than what I would have expected for those kind of numbers, but whoever's using him, it looks like they're pumping up his steal numbers just a little bit. And so keep in mind that's net steals. I want to get stolen base percentage in here eventually, but Mcfarland comes in at number 2. Who's number 1? I have concerns about who's number 1. Number 1 is... Oh, thank goodness. Al Evans is number 1 in WAR. This is actually the guy I'm running in my platoon with Keibert Ruiz right now. Pretty solid numbers against left-handed pitching. An 86 avoid K, 65 I, 58 contact, 57 gap. He's not so bad against righties that he can't play every day. Defensively, he's, again, pretty firmly in that second tier. Put up 3.25 WAR. Obviously, he's not Austin Barnes defensively. I know people love that catcher defense. And so I get it. I totally get the 12,500 plate appearances for Austin Barnes. He is just terrible offensively. I would have to. We can look it up on the chart here, but I love this Al Evans card. He's been an awesome platoon for me with Keibert Ruiz, and so he's putting up a 267 average, 352 on base percentage, solid OPS, 316 weighted on base average, and again that middle tier. He's not quite in that unusable catcher territory like Mcfarland was, Robinson was really close to, but he's providing pretty good offense with okay defense as well. You want Evans and Mcfarland for Masters Series? Nice. How did you do, B. Mahler? I can't remember how far you got in that. I should use weighted stolen bases per 600 instead of steals per 600 or stolen base percentage. I will look into that and see. Shoot me a message on Discord, and I will look into what I would have to do that. You always hit well when you ran him, but you couldn't take the bad D from old Ed. Yeah, that's fair. McFarland's pretty bad. I like Evans. I like Evans. He's pretty okay at defense with Ruiz out there as the majority of the time playing a little bit better defense as well. And so I think he's a pretty good complement to Ruiz, who can step in against righties. Like, so for tournaments where there's a lot of right-handed pitchers, where you're facing a lot of right-handed pitchers, Evans can step in against righties too and not really miss too much of a beat over Ruiz. So that's the platoon I'm running. I like Stallings as an everyday catcher. I think he's okay. I've kind of, like I said, I've kind of moved on from him. Don't love Knapp. I totally get it on the Barnes defense and the Ali Sanchez defense. Like, they're both really good defensively, but I think I'm pretty happy with my Evans Ruiz platoon right now. Let's see here where Barnes was. So 6 home runs. Where are we at? 3.89 catcher ERA is pretty close to number one. Our number one catcher ERA was, I forget who it was Astudillo was actually number one in catcher ERA, which we didn't really talk about. So an on-base percentage of 313 for Barnes, which isn't terrible, but a 221 batting average is pretty atrocious. A 307 slugging percentage is kind of bad. A 284 weighted on-base average, we don't love either. Offensive value, Barnes is... which is a combination of weighted on base average, slugging, batting average, and stolen bases. Barnes is ranking at, where's it at? Oh, here, 12th out of 17. So Barnes just isn't great offensively. But again, I totally get having him there. You honestly hate having to run Ali and Iron, so you can't imagine running him in runs. Yeah, I can't either. Astudillo plays other positions. Yeah, that catcher ERA for Astudillo is probably messed up too. So those are your catchers. That took forever. I don't love it. First baseman. So something I added this week for first baseman, you'll notice we have their heights in here this time. I know that height is something that means a lot for first base zone rating and the ability of first baseman to play first base. And so I threw that in here this week just to see how it goes. The one I had working was awesome. I had a sheet working. Everything was on one sheet, and everything, I just hit a macro and it changed everything over. But now, we got to go separate spreadsheets. So Hyatt comes in at number 10 among first basemen. And so he's a little bit of a righty platoon here. I think you kind of have to platoon him against righties. He's dropping a 1.73 WAR per 600 on you. Defensively, he ranks 20th. I did throw Hyatt in there as a catcher, as part of your defensive value for first baseman. Offensively, Hyatt's ranking 4th. Offensively, 4th in weighted on base average, 5th in slugging, 3rd in OPS. The batting average at 272 is right around first base average, and a 344 on base percentage for him as well. A little bit of speed, not much, kind of top half. We had 22 qualifying first basemen, so 6 out of 22. One of the few first basemen who can run just a little bit. Hyatt comes in at number 10. Number 9. He is, again, a versus righty platoon, which... Once we do this, I can show you the meta. It's not going to be up on the screen, but let's go here. So starting pitching meta is 62% right-handed for starting pitchers, and for relief pitchers, we're seeing 77%. So very large majority right-handed pitchers here in bronze still right now. There's a couple lefties out there that get some use for sure, but right now it's a pretty heavy right-handed people. You wish catchers were last? It takes too long? Yeah. Okay, Bailey, I will keep that in mind. I know you have messaged me on Discord and been like, hey, you should go random orders. And so maybe we'll start with, you know what? You want pitchers? We'll do pitchers after first baseman. How about that? Let's do that today. So we'll do a little bit of a deeper dive on pitchers this week than we have in the past. And so Yeah, Wilmer Flores, maybe an interesting platoon with Hyatt. Pretty solid numbers, it looks like, versus lefties. A little bit of power here. Almost 20 home runs per 600, ranking 9th offensively, ranking number 1 defensively, which I'm a little bit surprised about, with a solid defensive value. His first base rating helping out there, the arm, the error helping out there too. Maybe getting a little bit of a WAR benefit from playing second, but may also be getting a little bit of a hurt by playing second or third base. For Flores, 3,700 plate appearances for him over the sample size from this week. 11th in batting average. The batting average is a little bit low. The on-base percentage is a little bit low, but he does hit for a little bit of power. Does have a pretty good weighted on-base average. 17th out of 22 in both strikeouts and walks, which is a little bit surprising to me. So that's what we got on Wilmer Flores. Again, try to platoon him if you can. Could be if you like Hyatt, then maybe a decent platoon there. I don't love Flores. I think there are better options versus lefties. However, he is a pretty okay defensive first baseman. In your experience, very high catcher ability really does make a difference. I think really high catcher ability makes a difference. And I don't think you're wrong about catcher ability making a difference, but I went with WAR this week, and so that's what we won. You replaced him with Hedges and Perez and came back to win the World Series and made the playoffs. Yeah, I do think that catcher ability is important. So please don't take anything I said about catchers as me saying catcher ability isn't important. I'm sorting a little bit differently this week than I have in the past. You've been using Wilmer in a platoon. I think he's a good platoon option. You can't speak for a perfect team. It is paramount no matter the level. Yukarin and you guys really like catcher ability. I agree a little bit too. And so let's see. Lou Finney came in at number 8. Another platoon versus righties, a little bit lower defense, 23rd out of 22. I know what's going on there. So there's a calculation error in the sheet. So he's actually 22 out of 22 defensively. Dropped to 1.89 WAR per 600 did Lou Finney. Second in home runs, just over 20 home runs. So not a ton of home runs here in bronze. -1 net steals per 600. So don't steal with him. Pretty low batting average, pretty low on base percentage, good slugging, good OPS, good weighted on base average. 1.89 WAR per 600. Another guy you got a platoon, Lou Finney. Don't love this card. So we'll move on to number 7. We'll see who's number 1. I don't know who's number 1. I got really frustrated and didn't even go through most of the lists last night. Attorneys is a little bit of a small sample size for to be able to tell. So Jesus Aguilar comes in at number 7. This is your rookie sensation from 2017. He's your 10th most used first baseman at this point this week. Grading out number 3 defensively. Again, that high first base rating, and he's a little bit taller than some of the other guys we've seen on this list at 75 inches. That is 6'3" for anybody who doesn't want to do the back of. I think I could be wrong. A little bit of a lefty platoon, but not a ton. You got 7 points of gap. You actually got a little bit of contact versus righties, a little bit of power versus righties. The I and the avoid Ks both go towards lefties. So Aguilar is an interesting kind of split. 333 weighted on base average, 753 OPS, 420 slugging, just under 17 home runs per 600. A lot of guys kind of mushed together here offensively. 2.02 WAR for Jesus Aguilar at first base over the course of the last week. He is at number 7. Number 8. Did I skip number 8? Who was number 8? Does anybody remember? Your Iron team plays 1,600 games a week. Let's find out who number 8 was real quick. I'm not going to do a ton of going back and forth because it's taking forever today. But number 8 was, I forget, Lou Finney. Did I skip? Yeah, Lou Finney was number 8. We talked about him. Home runs is all you're going to get from him. Bad defensively. Number 6. You like Vasquez in perfect team? Vasquez is my backup in perfect team. Number 6 is Jared Walsh. This is a left fielder who has a higher first base rating and a pitcher rating for Jared Walsh. Solid versus righty splits, 60 contact, 70 gap, 79 power, 54 I, 41 avoid Ks. Rating out second offensively among first basemen, 16th defensively, 2.21 WAR per 600. Maybe getting helped out a little bit by playing left field and right field, depending on what he's listed as. But I imagine if people are listing him as a first baseman, he's playing as a first baseman. It's a pretty small sample size for him at first base. We'll see what his numbers look like in left. Actually, we may or may not see his numbers in left field and right field, although I did not make a defensive cutoff for those positions this week. I would play him at first base if I was going to play him. And I don't necessarily love him at first base either, although his offensive value right now does look pretty good. You're going to want to platoon him versus righties if you can. 7 points of contact, 5 points of gap, 5 points of power, 3 points of I, 3 points of avoid Ks versus righties, but not necessarily have to platoon him versus right-handed pitching. 274 average, 341 on base percentage, 441 slugging, 782 OPS, and a 343 weighted on base average for Jared Walsh. Number 5. Anyhow, Chick Gandalf comes in at number 5, and I know a lot of people like him at number 1. He's the second most used first baseman on the list. I totally get it. I totally get why people like him at number 1. I'm a little surprised to see his numbers as low as they are. Just a 324 weighted on base average, which is below average for first baseman. 737 OPS, 413 slugging. He's second among people who play first base in stealing. That doesn't make any sense. Is that for real? Who's number 1? I don't know if we're going to see that guy. Interesting. Alan Wiggins showing up at number 1 in steals at first base. Gandalf with 42.88 net steals per 600 plate appearances, over 8,700 plate appearances. Strikeouts, he's going to strike out some. He's not going to walk that much. Dropping a 2.24 WAR per 600. I totally get it. He's good offensively. He's got an okay on-base percentage with an okay batting average and the ability to run, which makes him a pretty good option. I am not running Chick Gandalf at first base anymore. I have moved on from him, but I totally understand why people are. He comes in at number 5. Number 4, you have his slider max. Wiggins is your first baseman. I haven't looked at Wiggins too much. Pavin Smith comes in at number 4. I like Pavin Smith. I don't love him at first base. I think he plays up a little bit in right field, even though his numbers are a little bit off kilter in right field. We'll see if he shows up there or if people are just leaving him as a first baseman. A little bit of a righty split. You got 4 points of contact, 4 points of gap, 3 points of power, 2 points of I, 2 points of avoid Ks. He can play every day, and he's going to be okay. Moderately good offensive value with pretty good defensive value at first base. Doesn't run. He doesn't have a ton of power for a first baseman, but he's 6th in OPS, 4th in on-base percentage, and 6th in weighted on-base average. I like this card. I don't love it. He's not currently in my lineup. I may go back to him eventually. 2.3 WAR per 600. Top half in strikeouts. I mean, he's the top half in every category outside of steals. He does not run the bases. I kind of like him in right field. Would use Pavin Gandalf as a platoon. Let's see. And 3 is... Come on now. Ji-Man Choi. Live Ji-Man Choi comes in at number 3 with a 2.33 WAR per 600. 6th offensively, 9th defensively. Pretty small sample size of just 1,600 plate appearances. Didn't even crack the top 10 for uses. However, we're seeing a 248 batting average, which is pretty low. Solid home runs. No speed to speak of. Number 1 in strikeouts. That seems... I think strikeouts are backwards. I believe strikeouts might be backwards. Hold on. There's no way these guys are striking out that much. Number 13, strikeouts. I'm not going to go back and fix it, but where's it at? Yeah, I got strikeouts backwards, so my bad. So he's actually last in strikeouts. Strikes out more than any other player on the list right now. Walks, he's 3rd though, so decent on base percentage, not a great OPS, not a great weighted on base average. I'm very angry at my spreadsheets right now, if you can't tell. Well below average at batting average, but you know, I don't love it. It's mediocre defensively, mediocre offensively. I don't love Choi at first base. He's at number 3 based off of WAR. I'm gonna have to go back to Yeah, definitely frustrated today. In the finals on the daily early bronze, congratulations. Number 2 is Carl Taylor, your most used first baseman. Comes in at number 2 versus lefty splits here. 77 contact, 51 gap, 72 eye, 53 avoid K versus lefties. Not a huge split though. You actually gain a little bit of gap versus righties. The big difference is 14 points of eye combined with 6 points of power versus lefties for Taylor. So I do think he's platoonable, but I think you could get away with playing him every day. Problem is he's not great defensively. Let's do this so you can see his plate appearances here. He's not great defensively. Second in WAR per 600 at 2.36. Not a ton of power. Number 1 in average. Number 1 in on-base percentage. Number 4 in OPS. Number 2 in weighted on-base average. He is getting a ton of play. Just a really solid offensive bat versus left-handed pitching. And so when spreadsheets go wrong, calamity ensues. I wish this was calamity. Life is calamity. And your number 1 first baseman, I don't know. No, I know who number 1 is. You guys are going to be surprised. And you're going to hate it, but I love it. I'm happy with my number 1. Number 1 is Jose Martinez, who is an absolute lefty masher. All of these plate appearances might be mine. I'm using him as my versus lefty platoon at first base. My versus righty platoon is somebody else. I was like, you know what? I don't need defense at first base. I want home runs, and I want a guy who's going to hit the ball all the time. 290 batting average, 362 on-base percentage, third and second in those, first in slugging, first in OPS, first in weighted on-base average, over 4,000 plate appearances. I am really loving Jose Martinez at first base. It's a 60 rated card. It's just ridiculous. Don't play him against righties. You have to platoon him, but the stats are just hilarious. A 2.73 WAR. I'm running him in a platoon with... I honestly don't remember who I'm running him in a platoon with right now. Let's find out. Let's bring the game up and find out. Oh, I got a Twitch drop. Isn't that cool? Where's my team? And we already got eliminated, so my team is pretty clearly... Actually, this is an old one. This is not the most recent tournament I got into. This is from this morning. We're going to do pictures in a minute. I'm pretty excited. Let's go to the list and see who number 11 is. 11 was Nippy. Nippy came in at number 11. Offensively, WAR... He's at 14th. So 11th in WAR was Wiggins at 11th. So I know some of you guys like Wiggins a lot. Number 12 was Mountcastle, who I think is who I'm running the platoon with Martinez, if I'm not mistaken. I was like, who needs defense at first base? Yeah, my platoon is Martinez and Mountcastle right now, which might be why. Oh, they changed my logo. Wasn't that nice of them? That logo is way better than the one I normally have. This is pretty ugly. I got super lucky. Pretty good ratings on Jose Martinez, who can't make a Major League Baseball roster. Yeah, I'll show him my stat. We can show his agent my stats, see if I can't get a cut of that money. 13th was Unglob. I'm a little surprised that Unglob wasn't higher on the list. 14th was Nippy and War. 11th offensively, defensively ranking 18th for Nippy Jones. And so there you go. Number 15 was your Build a Legend Todd Helton. So there you go. If you want to see some stats, let's see. I know we got asked about Nippy. Nippy's dropping a 293 batting average, 321 on base percentage, 427 slugging, 748 OPS. I like the Nippy card too. I know that a lot of people out there like him. Doesn't strike out much, doesn't really walk much either, but it's a decent card. Number 1 in home runs was Flores. Martinez was right up there. Crone's right up there too. Let's not talk about CJ Crone. I am... For real, let's not. For those who watched the Masters series on Saturday, you may know why I don't really want to talk about Crone. And I'm glad to see that CJ Crone came in 22nd in WAR out of 23 lists. So Wiggins, where's Wiggins? He was 11th in WAR, strikes out, doesn't strike out much, walks quite a bit. So it looks like probably a pretty solid on base percentage. 256 average, 340 on base percentage, 311 slugging, 651 OPS though. But steals, he is a really good base runner, is Alan Wiggins at first base as well. Got 1,400 plate appearances at first base over this period. Let's go do some pitchers, shall we? Let's see how broke this is. Casey Mize came in at number 10, 753 innings pitched. I don't have the meta up for pitchers. So 753. I didn't get the meta up for pitchers, so we're not going to see it. We know who the top 3 guys according to meta are. One change I did make to pitchers, well, 2 changes really, is you're going to see inherited runner percentage here at the bottom. Oh, there we go. It just went to sleep on me. Come on. There we go. You're going to see inherited runner percentage down here, which doesn't matter so much for starting pitchers. Come on. Dell, you're being stupid. That'll be important for relief pitchers. It's just on both. And I adjusted my cutoff to be 60%. So you had to have a 60% start percentage to qualify as a starting pitcher. So anybody under 60 is going to be on the relief pitchers list. You got 28 packs overnight from bronze. That's a weird number. Oh, no, that makes sense because 5 and 3. Yeah, that makes sense. Congratulations on your packs. That's a lot of packs for one overnight. Hello, Minerva. Thanks for dropping by. You just read Martinez tore his meniscus in his knee. Oh, ouch. That's never fun. And you've been doing a Nippy Flores platoon. I think that works too. I think there's a lot of options here in bronze. There are very few cards here in bronze that I'm going to say, hey, really, I think it's 4 total cards in bronze that I would say have to be on your team. And all 4 of them are going to be in these next 2 presentations. So Mize is number 10. Oh, we can just do it like this. We can see the whole thing now. And so I'll just leave that up. That's gross. But it is what it is for today. ERA at 4.25, FIP at 4.27. So, oh, and I changed the way I calculate it there based purely off of FIP and ERA right now. I'm still working out some details on that, but it is FIP and earned run average with FIP weighted a little bit higher than overall earned run average. So you might see some weird numbers over here because I'm not taking like strikeouts, home runs. I really am just looking for performance at this point for the pitchers and what their numbers are. And so Mize was 11th in FIP and 10th in earned run average and came out 10th overall. 4.25 ERA, 4.27 FIP. Home runs doesn't strike too many guys out. It's 18th out of 33, 21st out of 33. So home runs are a little bit of an issue with that low movement for Casey Mize. Decent control for him here at this level. Second in whip overall among starting pitchers is Casey Mize. Holy smokes, I am way ahead. I'm a good 20 seconds ahead of where you guys are. So I'll try to slow it down just a little bit. Thank you. Do I sound like I need more coffee? I'm trying to be happy. I am happy. Trevor Cahill was at number 9. 7th in earned run average. 12th in FIP for him, a 4.28 FIP, but a 4.17 earned run average. The whip is a little bit higher at 1.400, just a 70% start percentage for Cahill. Trying to keep up with chat. The real irony is that you had Crohn's base running properly dialed down in strategy. Was it you who beat me? With Crone? Rev Modden? We're going to have some fighting words if you're the one who beat me with Crone's inside the park home run that beat me in. No, I'm not doing cocaine. I lose my military retirement if I get caught doing cocaine, so I'll stay away from that. You're good. I'm pretty happy. I hated my team. So I'm going to talk about my team here. As long as we have time at the end, I will talk about my team at the end and what they looked like going into that tournament. Cahill's got some pretty big splits versus righties. We do have, it's a little bit, let's check the batting meta here real quick because we looked at the pitchers, but we didn't really look at the batters. So batters right now are 56% right-handed, 20% switch, 23% lefty. So keep that in mind as we go through these lists. I promise they're going to be better next week. Or the presentation's going to be better next week. I just have to figure out some things and get my macros back. Very sad. And so Cahill versus righties, you're going to see, he's pitching pretty well at 4.17 earned run average, 4.28 FIP. The counting stats aren't great for him. Again, ignore the inherited runner percentage. Is probably not a very high number of inherited runners. Actually, it's probably a little bit high for him. 27th among starting pitchers and inherited runner percentage. Walks are at 3.4, so control's a little bit of an issue. 25th out of 33. Top 10 in home run suppression and 17th in strikeouts per 9 for Cahill. Leads me to put him, right in that middle of the pack kind of thing. You're headed to the dentist soon, so someone else will have to defend your choices when I get there. Yeah, we'll see. And yeah, so there we go. So Cahill at number 9. Number 8 is Fred Anderson. Fred Anderson dropped down the list a little bit. He has a pretty fantastic FIP. The ERA is a little bit lower. I think that you're going to see some of these guys with the lower stamina, and he's got that extreme ground ball. There's not a ton of really awesome defensive infielders here in bronze, and so I think that's hurting Fred Anderson just a little bit. I'm running him as my 5th starter to moderate success. I'm earning 30 to 40 packs a day right now. Not yesterday, I didn't, but 20, probably closer to 20 to 30. I win a tournament here and there, spamming them. It's about to move to a different team. I'm about to stop running bronze with the decimals. They're going to go back to the unicorns, and so we'll see if we can make some adjustments there and make it a little bit better. I was going to start it last night. I haven't adjusted the team the last 2 days just because the spreadsheet's been so frustrating. So it's been a little bit of a work in progress. 67% start percentage for Fred Anderson. I know he's a relief pitcher closer, but most people use him because the stamina is actually pretty good. Solid numbers versus righties. He could get beat up with a strong left-handed hitting lineup. There are teams that can take advantage of that for sure. 411 FIP, 442 earned run average, 26th in strikeouts, 11th in home runs per 9, 13 in walks, and then the inherited runners there have him 22nd among pitchers. So he's at number 8. You've been finding Anderson better in the pen. I can see that as well. It doesn't surprise me. He's going to be better out of the pen because you can match him up against right-handed hitters. Whereas if you run him as a starter, teams can run that versus righties or that versus righties lineup against you and have pretty good success too. It's just one team. I am the Dewey Decimals. That is my team. You've been finding it. Yeah, in general, you think it's going to be ERA above FIP for a lot of guys because defense is man. Yeah, I know. I agree. Seawit. Congratulations on your win over there in Pool A this weekend. And he's been part of your rotation trying to find good 4-5s. Yeah, there's definitely a 1, 2, and 3 here in bronze. Trying to find a good, consistent 4 and 5 is a little bit messed up. You barely beat me in your perfect team division. Oh, was that you? Yeah, we lost in the last game of the season to a team that got relegated to miss out on a 1-game playoff. And so that would have been my first playoffs ever in Diamond. And I got back with my group this week, and we're going to be back in gold next week. So I love your team name, by the way, the Mediocres. It took me till Thursday, and then Thursday it hit me, and I was like, I love that team name. It's awesome. So congratulations on your playoffs. I didn't see, how did you do? You got knocked out in the division series, right? I think, if I'm not mistaken, but congratulations on your diamond playoffs. Stripling comes in at number 7, 9th in ERA and 9th in FIP. 5th in WHIP for him, 6th in strikeouts per 9, 27th in home runs. Home runs are an issue for Stripling again this year. No surprise, he's a low movement pitcher. Not too much of a split for him to speak of. Good stuff and good control versus lefties. A 415 FIP with a 422 earned run average. And then out of the pen, you're seeing he just barely made the cutoff with a 60.62 start percentage. Pretty close to a relief pitcher there. And an inherited runner percentage of under 60%. That is kind of bad. Like really bad. Even though he's listed as a starting pitcher here, a 58% inherited runner percentage is bad. And so Stripling comes in at number 7. Number 6. Is Bill Bonham. What? No, I totally get it. You guys are like, Bonham is number 3. I absolutely agree. He's got 14,000 innings pitched here, guys. His stats are normalized. There's going to be a couple guys higher on the list who have a really low start percentage and who have not nearly as many innings pitched. Bonham is one of the big 3. He is very consistent. He is 4th in FIP. He is 6th in earned run average out of these guys right now. Number 2 in strikeouts. Top 10 in home run suppression. 27th in walks. Control's a little bit of an issue for Bonham, so that's going to affect his FIP just a little bit. And again, I definitely think Bonham is one of the big 3 that kind of needs to be in your rotation. But for this week, he just dropped in here at number 6. So no, don't pull him out of your rotation just because he's number 6 on this list this week. He is one of the 3 most consistent starting pitchers here in Bronze. And so it'll go up and down. There's going to be a couple guys up here that you're like, that he shouldn't be above Bonham. Like, Donovan Osborne, who has been very up and down for me. Only 1,200 innings pitched for Osborne. He's been effective at times. He's a little bit better versus lefties. Again, a 60% start percentage. I've had him in my rotation. I am pulling him out. He is not a good starting pitcher. He probably qualified here because of my starts for him. It was a bad choice. And then I just left it. I haven't really been adjusting the team that much. And so I'm going to guess that his start percentage is only above 60 because I'm the only one running him as a starter, and I'm getting a lot of innings out of him. I don't love him. It's a 412 FIP, a 384 earned run average, which is pretty solid, actually, surprisingly. But again, keep in mind that start percentage is right there at 60. 28th in strikeouts. He's not going to strike too many guys out. Top half in home run suppression. Pretty good control for Donovan Osborne. I gave him a go. I might move him to the bullpen just to keep him on the roster. I think he can be effective versus lefties. But I'm not sold on him being a mainstay in the rotation, and I think I'm going to try out some other things. Do you think Osborne's been great for you? He's been a mixed bag for me. So Osborne's a guy who, when he pitches well, is absolutely lights out. But when he doesn't pitch well, it is absolutely your lights out. I'm going to talk about him a little bit when we talk about my tournament team. He was on the Masters Series team, and so we'll talk about him there. And I haven't made any adjustments from that team, and so it's playing okay. It's still playing okay. I still think we got lucky. Number 4 is Mike Minor with a 71% start percentage. Very good stuff. Very good control. Home runs are going to be an issue. 26th out of 33, but top 10 in strikeouts per 9. Top 5 in walks per 9 right now. Number 1 in earned run average. Somebody's got some good defense behind him. Number 6 in FIP for Mike Minor. Drops him at number 4. Number 1 in WHIP for Mike Minor, too. I mean, the numbers look good. Small sample size for him. So 461 innings pitched, and again, a pretty low start percentage for Minor, so keep that in mind. But these numbers look pretty good. I think I like him better out of the pen just because, again, you can match him up as a specialist versus lefties. That 10 points of stuff, 6 points of movement, and 4 points of control is pretty big. But the knuckle curve right there, helping Mike Minor out. I know it's the ratings look a little bit underwhelming. But he's a guy who's got decent stamina and 4 pretty good pitches and a knuckle curve. I think he's an okay option too. You're still searching for a number 5. You're not happy. I don't like Musina either. Number 3 is the nice thing about this taking so long is I can catch up on chat between each player. So what do we got? You're going to try out Osborne as your 5. I don't blame you. I think he's he's kind of up and down, but he is interesting. You've got 1,200 innings pitched for Minor at a 456, 283 on base average, 142 whip, and 2 weeks on your sheet. Nice, which isn't terrible. Curly Karkovice likes Fleming. Don Gross came in at number 3. Again, I think he is one of the more consistent guys. A 395 FIP, a 382 earned run average for Gross. And I'm going to be honest, I think at a 90% start percentage, how phenomenal would it be to not have to use him as a starter? This is a guy who you could use as a lefty specialist out of the pen who would be absolutely Twitchell-esque here at Bronze. Gross comes in at number 3. Again, the splits versus lefties are awesome. He's got a fastball, sinker, changeup, slider kind of mix. Lower stamina. I think I still consider him one of the top 3, but I think if you can put together a good rotation and use him as a specialist against lefties, I think he's going to absolutely destroy left-handed hitting here in Bronze, is Don Gross. So you use him as a stopper with Twitchell. I agree. I think that's a good choice. His versus righties is still good. This isn't bad. This is pretty good versus righties. This is just absolutely filthy versus lefties for Don Gross. Again, he's very consistent as a starter. I really think that if you can find a way to get 5 other good starting pitchers in your rotation, he would be a absolute laser show in the pen for you. I run him as a starter right now. I might try him in the pen in the near future. Number 2 is, who the heck is that? Julian Merriweather comes in at number 2. 395 FIP, 381 earned run average. You know, sometimes we find a diamond in the rough here that nobody notices until we see him on stream. 269 innings pitched. Do we like it? The numbers look good. Good strikeout numbers. No splits to speak of. The home runs, I'm not sold on it staying down at a .63, but there's guys with worse stuff on the list in the top 10. Good control and a fastball, changeup, curveball, slider mix with 96 over the top power pitcher, second in FIP, third in earned run average this week. I don't know. Maybe he's a guy I try out. Maybe I can try Julian Merriweather out and throw Don Gross in the bullpen. He didn't even make your sheet. Interesting. He's great in bronze cap. He has a 64, yeah, so keep that in mind. So if you're running bronze caps, this is a card that looks like it could compete down there. And putting up good numbers in a really small sample size here at bronze. Do I like him as a starter? Perhaps. I could see him as a reliever as well. So his stamina is at a 41. So you think he might be in your pen? You need to check that. Interesting. Weird. You wonder because if he's a relief pitcher, nobody thinks of putting him as a starter. You thinking? Are you talking Osborne right now? 88 fastball and 80 changeup is a great combo. Yeah, this is an interesting looking card to me, and I might have to give it a try when I get the spreadsheet working and I can actually start building teams again. It's going to be a long Thursday for me. Number one. Do you guys want to make a guess? Satchel Paige comes out at number one. I am not surprised about this. So your big three right now are Don Gross, Paige, and Bonham, right? Paige is number one in FIP, number two in earned run average, top 10 in strikeouts, top 5 in home run suppression, 8th in WHIP right now, 90% start percentage. Again, the stamina is a little bit low, but at bronze, it's enough to get away with 5 innings. Little bit of a weird split, more stuff versus lefties than versus righties, more movement and control versus righties than versus lefties. He just continues to perform, and this is what you're going to see out of him, guys. Oh, this is 15,000 innings worth of data on Satchel Paige. I really think if there's one guy that you really have to have, it's probably Paige. If you're going to pick one of the big three, the screwball helps him with the reverse split there. You got the good fastball, the good curveball with a decent changeup as well. He's an extreme fly ball pitcher in a format that doesn't have a lot of home runs, so you're going to have a batting average ball and play advantage with Satchel Paige. It's just a really good card. I really think he is. If I was going to say, if you were like, I need one pitcher. It's a 1-game series. It's got to be Satchel Paige here in bronze. It really just has to be Paige. Get Paige now for 11K. I think there's enough on the market now that I'm probably not going to affect the market on him too much. Let's see. So 3,000 games for Paige, 2,800 for Gross, 2,800 for Bonham. Fred Anderson getting used a ton. Strom getting used a ton too. I like Strom. He came out to, let's see, where was Strom in pitcher value? Strom was 12th. I do like Strom. When Strom is on, he's really good. I'm going to tell you guys why I love Strom when we talk about my tournament team here in just a little bit, because he saved the entire tournament for me. And so we'll talk about him there. I'm a big fan of Matt Strom. And I would place him as my number, but subjectively, I place him as my number 4 behind the big 3 guys. Means, let's see if I have Means on here. I don't see him. Let's do yeah, I don't have data on him here. He might be on the relief pitching sheet. We're looking for, he starts in your silver team. I can see that. Somebody just snapped up the only 2 out there. Yeah, wait for another one to go on the market, guys. Don't go paying thousands of points for Satchel Paige. He's a bronze card, and they're all over the place. Fleming. Let's find Fleming. He might be on the other list, too. Yeah, he might be on the relief pitcher list, too. So we'll see if we can find them over there. Let's get through the relief pitchers, and then we'll find the rest of the pitchers. So number 10 was Julian Tavares. Yeah, Means is going to be silver soon, I think. For sure. Julian Tavares, Cleveland, 1995 rookie sensation, comes in at number 10. 6th in earned run average, but 20th in FIP, so keep that in mind. 306 innings for him, not a single start. Inherited runner percentage of 63.44, which places him 52 out of 61. Not in love with this. Not in love with this card at number 10, but because of the way we're ranking stuff right now, his ERA put him in the top 10. It's a good ERA. The FIP's not terrible. The overall numbers, really good home run suppression. Top 10 home run suppression, 15th out of 61 in walk suppression too, which is going to help both his FIP and his earned run average out. I'm just not in love with the card as part of my bullpen. Does anybody like him? End of the month, so 31st, I think, is what I heard, is the tentative date for the next ratings update. Number 9. I'm just going to spoil everything. Wayne Twitchell's number 1. So, Phil Matone comes in at number 9. 8th in FIP, 342 in earned run average, at 21st in earned run average. So, it's interesting to see. Guys, well, you know what? That might be messed up too. Let me see if I can fix that. Earned run average 2. 322. No, I think it's right. I think it's correct. And FIP is correct. So yeah, here we go. Looks good. Oh, we're here. So Matone at 3.99 FIP, 342 earned run average. So we're seeing kind of the reverse here for the relief pitchers, in that their earned run average are outpitching their FIP, which is interesting to me. And so Matone comes in at number 9. Top 10 in strikeouts. Very good stuff against lefties and righties. Not much of a split. Could be a pretty solid middle reliever for you. And so I can see that Tavares being consistent for sure. And so Matone comes in at number 9. 38th in home runs, so halfway, middle of the pack in just about everything. It's just that his FIP and his ERA look pretty good. And number 4 in WHIP. Some weird numbers there for Phil Matone. Number 8 is Patrick Sandoval. A guy who has a 52% start percentage and looked really good on... I've got FIP backwards is what it is. That's what's going on there. You can see here. What are you talking about? Hold on. I need to fix something real quick. Options. Advanced. Formula. I have these reversed. So it should be... let me make sure that I'm doing it right. So ERA is R, FIP is Q. So let's go back here. This should be R. So that one is correct. This one is incorrect. Nope. R. R. Enter. Enter. And U should be Q. Q. Oh no. What did you do? Come on, catch up to me. Try it again. There we go. That's better. So I had them reversed. Only 300 innings right now for Sandoval. He was one of the guys that I was like, I can't have him showing up on the starting pitcher list because he was like number 2. And so that's why I was like, you know what? Let's make it a 60% start percentage. Holy smokes. I'm literally like 30 seconds behind, or 30 seconds ahead of the video. I'm just seeing me fixing stuff now. You should start using Sandoval. It looks nice. It does look pretty nice. 76 stuff, good movement, decent control. Home run suppression is, everything's kind of top half. But his ERA looks really good. You're going to want these guys out pitching their FIP by a full inning over a 300 inning pitch sample size. I don't know what you can really expect from him going forward. It'll be interesting to see. But he comes in at number 8. Number 7 is Adrian Hauser, who's number 2 in FIP, but 26th in earned run average. You use innings pitched per game to differentiate starter and reliever. Interesting. That's an interesting way to do it. And that makes sense too, because you got some people using followers. So that might be something I think about later on. Right now, start percentage is just a quick and easy way to kind of figure it out for me. So 367 FIP, 394 earned run average for Hauser. Second in FIP, 26th in earned run average, 33rd in whip. And so the walks are an issue for him. He's 43rd and not great in inherited runners scored percentage at 56. So you probably don't want him to be a stopper. The balls are going to be in play. He's not going to strike a ton of guys out, and he will have an issue with walks. And so Hauser is not necessarily a guy you want as a stopper. You're going to want him in clean innings, but in clean innings, he's probably going to be pretty good for you. Just 212 innings pitched for him right now, 34% start percentage for Hauser. He comes in at number 7. Again, there are very few must-have cards in the bullpen here in bronze. John Curtis comes in at number 6. This is a card I haven't seen too much of. Again, only 338 innings pitched for him. Home runs will be a little bit of an issue. 45th with a .77 home runs per 9 innings among qualifiers. Our 61 qualifiers. 271 walks. 7.58 strikeouts. Top 20 there. 6th in earned run average. 23rd in FIP. And top 5 in whip for John Curtis. Little righty heavy, maybe a righty specialist. You got 14 points of stuff, 8 points of movement, and 3 points of control versus righty. So you probably want to set him as a specialist just a little bit. Fastball, slider, changeup mix for John Curtis at number 6. Number 5 he's a live card. Interesting. He looks like a kind of guy that I would have interest in watching. Fernando Salas comes in at number 5. I will say he is your second most used relief pitcher of all time. A lot of that is because of me. He's been on my team for a while. He is also a righty specialist. So you're seeing some righty specialists up here on the list. You got 11 points of stuff and 4 points of movement. I think you can get away with him versus lefties as well. So I don't think he's exclusively a specialist the way that the last guy was. But I think that you're probably better off running Salas as a specialist. You love him as your closer? I think that's fair too. I think with a clean inning, he could be useful as well. You get totals for starting pitcher usage and relief pitcher usage. Yeah, that makes sense. Let's see. So you total players for when games started equals games, and where there are no games started, ignoring the rare situation where a pitcher has games started greater than 0. Less. Interesting. I'll have to check that out and see if I can't figure that out. I love Salas. He's a mainstay in my bullpen. Right behind Twitchell. He's been very good for me. Top 10 in earned run average, top 3 in FIP, top 10 in whip as well. Everything else is, top 3rd. You're looking at 15th in strikeouts. A little bit of a home run thing here. I think that he probably comes down just a little bit with more time, I guess. I mean, maybe. But that's probably what you can expect out of him. 2.72 walks per 9 has him 25th. And then inherited runner percentage at 25th as well at 68.26 for Salas. Currently number 5. Number 4 is Joaquim Soria. I like this card too. He's kind of similar to Salas with the stuff movement control, just a little bit lower on the stuff than Salas. He's top 10 in ERA and FIP, which helped move him up. I think Salas obviously goes above him. Number 6 in whip, however, for Soria. 33rd in strikeouts, 18th in home runs, 22nd in walks, and 40th in inherited runners. So instead of middle relief, can you run like 4 or 5 guys as specialists and a closer and setup guy? It'll just pick people at random. So if you set their backup to a middle reliever, then they'll pull guys in. You can totally do that, but it may make it difficult for your AI to manage your pen. So just keep that in mind. I try to keep my bullpen as simple as possible for my AI. Although I will say I've found that it's a little bit better this year than it was last year. And so Soria with 392 innings pitched is looking pretty good ERA and FIP-wise. Again, the inherited runner percentage is a little bit lower than you necessarily like out of a stopper or something like that. So you probably want a clean inning for him for Soria. Number 3 is Yusmeiro Petit. Very good control. 2nd in walks per 9, I should say. 3rd in inherited runner scoring percentage prevention percentage for Petit. 80% of his inherited runners do not score. is what I'm trying to say there. 30th in home runs, so top half in home runs. Not going to strike too many guys out, but the walks are very good. The whip is very good. Third in earned run average. 16th in FIP for Petit at 3.27 and 3.93. He comes in at number 3. He's a card that was a very good bronze pitcher last year and continues to be a pretty good Usmato? Oh, Usmato Petit. Interesting. I've been saying that wrong for years, so I will probably continue to say it wrong, as that is not my strength. He comes in at number 3. Number 2 is... I don't know who number 2 is. Please don't be Twitchell. Number 2 is Michael King, the other guy who I was like, you can't be on my starting pitcher list, dude. Michael King comes in at number 2. Just 281 innings pitched, but a 50% start percentage as well. So keep that in mind. This is an interesting card to me because he's got a very high start percentage and still a pretty decent earned run average and FIP when put up against relief pitchers. Maybe a little bit of a specialist versus righties again. You're seeing about 11 points of stuff, 5 points of movement, and 1 point of control versus righties. So if you can run him as a specialist, you're probably going to see some good numbers out of him. A 332 earned run average and a 385 FIP for Michael King. He's third in whip at 1.236. Not going to strike too many guys out, but pretty good home run suppression. Top 10 in control and top 10 in inherited runner scored percentage. So Michael King is number 2. Number 1 is... surprise! Wayne Twitchell. Second in earned run average, first in FIP for Twitchell. 84 stuff, 89 stuff versus righties. 79, 83, 49, 49. Fastball, curveball, slider, circle change for Twitchell. Just about top 10 in strikeouts per 9. Top 5 in home runs per 9. The whip's a little bit low, but he gets away with it because he just does not let up home runs. The stuff and movement set him to not pitch around in your strategies. We're not going to talk too much about strategy today. I just don't have time, but Wayne Twitchell's the best relief pitcher in bronze. So, where do I have John Bale ranked? Let's find him. Bale has 1,300 innings. We're seeing him at a 4, pretty low on strikeouts. 404 earned run average, 379 FIP though. So, 4th in FIP, 28th in earned run average. Overall, he ranks 17th for John Bale. Let's see if we can find means in here as well. No, I don't have data on means. Weird. Let me check the main chart and see where he's at. I only have 108 innings on means. That's why we didn't find him. Didn't have enough innings to qualify. Who else are we looking at? Bale. We looked at Bale. Whenever you have a pitcher with a specialist versus lefties role, get the last right-hand batter of an inning. Yeah, it's interesting. Bale's a beast versus lefties. Yes, I agree. Specialist Tim Hill and Joe Nathan. Let's go look at them. Tim Hill is showing a 413 FIP, so 32nd in FIP, 27th in earned run average, so 31 for Tim Hill. Not looking great for him. It's 655 innings for Hill. I do have stuff on ThigPen. We want to look at Joe Nathan too. ThigPen's dropping a 403 FIP, 24th in FIP, 13th in earned run average. His earned run average is 372. I'm running ThigPen in my bullpen. I like him, but I'm probably dragging his numbers down just a little bit. Grades out 20th overall, so top 20 out of 61. Belial, I'm running Belial too. So maybe I'm terrible. Belial is 11th in innings pitched, 26th in FIP, 9th in earned run average for Belial, 405 FIP, and a 347 earned run average for him is putting him at 13th overall, just outside the top 10. ThigPen is the TH that is AT. Okay, yeah, bullpens are crazy. McRae, Pena, oh my goodness, you guys are going to have me looking up everybody. We wanted to look up Nathan, so somebody asked for Nathan first. Who is 4th in innings pitched, but 28th in FIP, 12th in earned run average, 21st overall, a 407 FIP for Nathan, a 367 earned run average. 8.8 strikeouts per 9 puts him third. 55th, however, in walks. Control is an issue. Home runs are an issue. 42nd. So the control and home runs being an issue are a problem for Nathan right now. Top 20 in whip. Kikuchi and Ventura garbage. I don't necessarily think they're garbage, so we only did a top 10 today. Kikuchi I don't have on here, and Ventura, I'm not seeing either of them on here. Maybe we just didn't have innings for them. Let's see if they happen to fall over here. Interesting. I don't have data on them right now. They must not have run much this week. Wins. Red wins. 454 earned run. Oh, you know what? That's not going to change anything, but... So for wins, I was at 425 FIP, so 42nd in FIP and 48th in earned run average. You don't have any data on either of them over a 2-week period. Interesting. Thanks, My Mice Forever. I don't love it. I'm not having fun. High movement, low stuff guy like Ken Clay. Whoops. Come on, spreadsheet. Don't die on me now. We're almost there. Clay, I've got a 407 earned run average and a 383 FIP. So he's top 10 in FIP, 29th in earned run average, and looks like he's 22nd overall because of that. Struggling with the ERA a little bit for Clay. And again, I think that the high movement, low stuff guys, you're going to find pitch better up in gold. There's just not a lot of defense here in bronze right now. I haven't found Joe Nathan to be great. That's for sure. You had to give up on Nathan. Yeah, he's good sometimes. He's very bad sometimes too, is what you see. They don't give us a sandbox to do what you say. Yeah, no problem. All right, there we go. Those are your pitchers. Let's go to, what were we at? Second baseman? See if we can kill a spreadsheet. Second base. Number 10 was Nick Madrigal, not your gold Nick Madrigal. This is your bronze one. 3,949 plate appearances. He was number 4th most used at second base this week. We're going to see him some at shortstop as well, I believe. I think he's a little better suited to second base at this point. The 80 error with the 46 arm. The 46 arm scares me a little bit at shortstop, so he's probably getting used here a little bit more. Little bit of a split versus lefties, which doesn't help too much in this format where we don't have a lot of lefties. I think his gold Future Legend card is more suited to the format that it gets played in necessarily than this format. But it is definitely not unplayable against righties. Good speed, good stack bunt, decent bunt for a hit, top 10 in offensive value, and 7th defensively at second base. We did skip to pitchers. We did catchers and first baseman, and somebody said, I want to talk more about pitchers because they get rushed at the end of the stream every week. I said, you know what? You're right. I want to say it was Bailey. And so Twitchell was Twitchell in 1972. I don't know. Even his gold, diamond, and perfect cards are horrible. Who are we talking about? The doctor. They're good looking. Oh, you're talking about Nathan. Yeah. Both Madrigal cards are usable. This is a usable card in bronze. I don't think it's a must have, but it's definitely usable. 1.87 WAR for Madrigal. Number 9. Oh, what? Give it a minute to calculate. I didn't let it calculate. There we go. Number 9 is Louis Guillorm. He's going to be your number 1 ranked defensive second baseman. Got 2,900 innings, listed as a second baseman this week. Plays a little bit of shortstop too. He's also your number 1 ranked defensive shortstop. 1.99 WAR per 600 for him. Offensively, he's 12th out of 13 in offensive value. 12th in weighted on base average. 3rd in on base percentage. Doesn't really have the speed to make that terribly useful. It's a very walk heavy on base percentage as well. Just a 249 batting average. If you want to go all in on defense, if you're just I have to have defense and pitching, Guillorm might be your go-to at second base. I think you're better off using him at shortstop if you're going that route, because he's going to be more useful at shortstop to you than he is at second base, I think. But again, defensively, he's great. Offensively, he's not all that awesome. Number 8 at second base. You use Pedro Guerrero to back up second base and center field. Interesting. Charlie Pick is what the nameless poet is saying. If he could steal, that would be a good card. But since he can't steal, it's such an empty on base percentage. Gian Segura comes in at number 8. 10th offensively, 9th defensively for him right now. 10th in weighted on base average, 2.16 WAR per 600. 312 weighted on base average, 278 batting average, 326 on base percentage with good speed. 4th in steals per 600 for him. Just a little bit of power. 9th out of 13 in home runs, so nothing to write home about for Gian Segura, but a 2.16 WAR per 600 for Segura. No splits, so he can play every day if you're playing him. Possibly an interesting backup option at second base and third base for Segura, but I don't know if he's a guy that I want starting every day for me, just because his offense is a little bit not good. Number 7 is Gene Baker. Plays only second base. Little bit of a weird split here. You got 10 points of I versus lefties, but 14 points of avoid K versus righties. So you got 9 points of gap, 8 points of contact versus righties. He's a right-handed hitter who I would say reverse splits against right-handed pitching. And so it's an interesting option. Defensively, he's 11th out of your second baseman out of 13 because the error is exceptionally low. Only 967 plate appearances, so it's a pretty small sample size, but he dropped to 2.23 WAR. And for those who showed up late, I'm ranking the batters purely by WAR this week. I'm not using my offensive value, defensive value calculations. I wanted to make it simple, and then I broke all of the spreadsheets, and here we are. 260 average, 316 on base percentage, 380 slugging for Gene Baker over the course of this week. He comes in at number 7. You like Segura as a backup at second base, third base? I can see that. I think he's an interesting choice for backup. Number 6 at second base is any day now, Enrique Hernandez. 2,000 plate appearances for him. Solid versus lefty splits. If you can platoon him, I think he can play. I prefer Enrique Hernandez in left field or right field to second base. I'm going to be honest. Offensively, you're not going to get a better offensive player who can kind of play second base. But he lags behind defensively some of the other second basemen pretty significantly. The 62 range combined with the 66 error and a pretty low turn double play are all kind of bad. But again, it's kind of that you got the really good defensive second baseman, then everybody else gets kind of smushed into that. If you can platoon him versus lefties, he's going to mash for you. However, again, I like him better in left field or right field. We'll see where he stacks up against those guys, though, because I'm not sure his bat necessarily holds up against the left fielders and right fielders. Number 5, it's a 333 weighted on base average, which is number 1 among second basemen, and a 759 OPS and a 439 slugging. The average and on base percentage are lower, so I really think his plate appearances are as a platoon. 22 home runs per 600 for him. Can't catch. Yeah, he can play every position but catcher. Kurt Wilkerson comes in at number 5. Not quite enough plate appearances to make the top 10 in the meta. However, offensively, he's grading out second among second basemen. Defensively, he's not great. 9.14, that is 13th out of 13 qualifying second baseman. Again, there's a little bit of a bug going on in the calculation for that right now. Second in average, first in on base percentage, 6th in slugging, 4th in OPS, 3rd in weighted on base average. Not a lot of power. It's a very singles, doubles driven on base percentage and batting average. Useful player, can run a little bit, can play second base, can play shortstop. I think he's an okay option at second base. don't necessarily need to platoon him. You're going to get 10 points of I. So the on-base percentage is going to be a little bit higher versus lefties. I think there are better options out there. But again, offensively, he's pretty good. It's a pretty good offensive card. But unplayable, let's 7.39 steals per 600. Trash, unplayable. I like it. Everybody's trash to the nameless poet right now. Number 4 is Ha-Sung Kim. Let's talk about this guy a little bit. He is in my lineup. I like this card. My lineup is weird right now. I got some weird stuff going on in my lineup, and it is a little bit of a work in progress. Kim has slight splits versus lefties, but they're very, very slight. He can play every day. He can play at second base for you, and he can play well defensively at second base. He can play third base for you, and he's going to be okay at third base. The range of 69, the arm of 72, the error of 67 are all kind of solid here at Bronze at third base. So you can play him at second base or third base. I like him at second base because his bat plays up here just a little bit. And so you got a 271 batting average, 322 on base percentage. You got some speed, 12.5 steals per 600. The strikeouts, note that the strikeouts are backwards, I think. But I'm not sure. Let me check. Let me see if I have my rankings for strikeouts backwards. The number 1 is this guy who is at, yeah, that's backwards. So let me fix that real quick. Just shoot me. Oh, the formula bar's there already. That's my offset. We're going to go here. We're going to go 1, and that should fix the strikeout rankings. Please? Yeah, that looks better. Okay, we might have to do that for all of them, but that's okay. Not enough stolen bases as a starter, but he's a good backup. Your spreadsheet ranking 23rd in formula efficiency this week in my data. Yeah, 23rd out of like 8. It's bad. If they are under 30 steals per 600, they get benched. I gotcha. You like steals. You never even thought of Kim. Looks like the perfect utility guy. I think he's a good utility guy. I also think in tournaments, I'm having him start versus righties at second base. And I'll talk about my lineup when we get there. I'll talk about what we're doing with Kim. Home runs, decent power, decent speed, and decent defense at second base. I like him very much. I do like this card. He's at number 4 among second basemen with 2.49 WAR this week. Number 3 is going to pop up eventually. Donovan Solano comes in at number 3. This is your live Donovan Solano. 2.53 WAR per 600. He's an interesting batter at second base versus lefties. The problem is he's kind of unusable at third base and shortstop. So he's going to be your starting second baseman. He's also pretty good against righties. Like the splits aren't bad against righties. 3rd in batting average, 9th in on-base percentage, 2nd in slugging, OPS, 4th in weighted on-base average. A pretty good bat against lefties and righties with a pretty good defensive second baseman. Again, there's no standout defensive second baseman except really Guillorm, I guess, would probably be the only one that's a standout second baseman. I think Solano is usable. I think he's a pretty good looking card here, to be honest, that I'm not using right now. I broke everything. How are things? Hi, Roman. You haven't really been here. You was at Physio, but was able to come 2 packs. Nice. I wouldn't bother watching it later. It's a terrible stream today. And so Solano comes in as a pretty good offensive bat at second base who can play. I think I like this card. I'm not currently running him, but it might be something that I consider in the near future as I start rebuilding my bronze team. Number 2. Is Solano's been in and out of your lineup, currently out. Fletcher comes in at number 2, which is interesting. I wonder who's going to be number 1. I don't know off the top of my head. Like I said, I got very frustrated. So Fletcher mashes lefties. It's pretty good against righties. And is a very, I guess, so when you're saying Fletcher, my mice forever, you're saying Fletcher is a standout defensive second baseman. He's right up there. He's pretty close to Guillorm. I really think Guillorm's kind of an aberration at second base. here in bronze right now. Where are you at? Here in bronze right now, ignore the games played. That's messed up too. I seriously destroyed these spreadsheets. I'm starting from scratch on Thursday when I take my day off from streaming, and redoing everything. I'm very annoyed right now. And so he's and also is much better offensively than Guillorm. So if you're going for a choice between Guillorm and Fletcher, Fletcher's the guy. Fletcher's also pretty good offensively. I'm surprised to see his numbers this low in some of these categories. He will hit a little bit better versus lefties than versus righties, but he's a really solid defensive second baseman. He's an okay defensive shortstop and a really, really good defensive third baseman as well, is Fletcher. 25,000 plate appearances as a second baseman for him over the course of this week, which may be people just leaving him as a second baseman. He comes in at number 2. Let's see who number 1 is. Thank you. I am trying to enjoy this stream today. I'm stressed. You know what? Adam Frazier is number 1. There you go. Adam Frazier splits versus righties. I haven't even looked at this card. This is a really good looking card to me. 276 average, 334 on base percentage, 396 slugging. Almost 10 home runs. Not a lot of speed, but good sack bunt. Number 1 in WAR this week at 2.78. And yeah, it's been 6 months since I've had a drink, so you can cut and paste most of the names into their new rank. The best way to enjoy it is a drinking game. Yeah, you guys enjoy. just keep it civil in chat. And let you been able. Well, I'm glad you made it this week. This was your Arias replacement. He's a really good-looking platoon with Fletcher. Unfortunately, only plays second base for the infield, and his outfield ratings are a mixed bag at best. So yeah, it looks like he could be a good platoon at second base. And this is my first time really taking a look at it, and I do like the way it looks. 324 weighted on base average, 278 WAR, decent defense at second base. Platoon option. I really think it has to be platooned, which sets him back a little bit for me personally, because I think he's going to get beat up pretty badly against lefties. Now, the good news is that it's bronze and most of our pitchers are righties here. The problem is that, and again, I'll talk to you about, I don't spend a ton of time on the stream talking about lineup construction. What time? I got loads of time. And so the fact that he really is only usable at second base, he's a straight platoon at second base, which is I don't love. And so we'll talk about him or we'll take a look at him when we start talking about team building. So and so that's Adam Frazier at number 1. Let's take a look here and see. We wanted to talk about, he didn't get enough plate appearances. Interesting. I'm going to check something real quick and go like this, just for the sake of talking about a guy that I kind of like. We'll see if he shows up now. This is going to take a second. Still didn't show up. He just didn't get enough plate appearances this week. McKinney's a guy that I like. I don't love him at second base. I like him as a designated hitter, so we'll see if he pops up there. Let me see what I have on him in this sheet. I do have 2,800 plate appearances for him, so he should show up somewhere. He's going to show up on the hitter list. It looks like maybe I had him set as a designated hitter, and so he didn't show up. We'll talk about him at some point today, though. Third baseman. And Perdomo, Charlie, we'll see. I think he's going to show up in left field. You had to page up to adjusting ranks. You're used to going to bed at 3 a.m. Rich McKinney. Yeah, McKinney is awesome. I like him a lot. I like McKinney a lot. We'll talk about him at some point. Rank number 10, Perdomo at number 10 at third base dropped a 1.94 WAR on us this week. 12th in average. This is 13 qualifiers at third base. 3rd in on-base percentage. 14th in slugging. 10th in OPS. 4th at defense. So pretty good defensive third baseman for Perdomo. Has a shortstop rating as well. Not too much of a split to speak of. So he could potentially play every day. Just he looks like he's probably going to be mediocre at best. Does have some base running ability, which gives him a little bit of value, and has a pretty good on-base percentage to go along with that. So if you're looking to get for a guy who can play pretty good defense at third base, get on base, and run well while he's on base, then maybe Perdomo is a guy for you. No, I'm good. Thank you. Love you too. Drive safe. Small 835 plate appearance sample size for Perdomo there. Tommy La Stella comes in at number 9. With 1,200 and 2,700 plate appearances, dropped to 2.35 WAR on us at third base. Do not love at second base. Kind of okay at third base. Can live with it. Don't love it at third base either. He's a righty hitter. He will mash righties pretty well with an 89 avoid K and a 67 contact rating. Also 57 gap, 54 power, 57 I. This is a card that you're going to probably want to platoon. You lose 14 points of avoid K, 4 points of I, 5 points of power, 2 points of gap, and 14 points of contact. His batting average against lefties is going to be way below his batting average against righties. If you're playing La Stella, platoon him. Doesn't have a ton of speed. Decent sack bunt, decent bunt hit. Was 3rd in weighted on base average, so has to be getting platoon. Decent power, top 10 in average, 4th in on base percentage among people playing third base this week. He comes in at number 9. Number 8 is Solano. Comes in at number 8 with 2.36 WAR. He had 686 plate appearances, so we won't spend too much time on him. He's a capable bat, can play a little bit of third base. Where do you like him? I like him questionable at third base. I think he's okay at third base. I might like him better here than I do at second base. I'm not really sure. This is a tough card for me to gauge. Because it's a good bat, not a great bat. The bat plays down a little bit at third base, but I think you can get similar offense with a little bit better defense at second base as well. So this is a little bit of a tough card for me to gauge. Maybe as a utility second base, third baseman. I don't love him at shortstop, but I guess you could get away with him there every third or fourth game. I don't necessarily love him, but he looks okay. Number 7. Use Solano as a full-time second baseman. I can see him as a full-time second baseman. I don't think that's a bad option. Pinky May comes in at number 7. What are we saying? We're saying Jack Dunn, Gil Torres at third. Yeah, we'll see where they show up. Solano at second, Fletcher at third. Not a bad option either, I don't think. Pinky May comes in here at number 7. Defensively, pretty good at third base, dropping a 2.56 WAR on us over 1,100 plate appearances. Just missed the cutoff. Again, small sample size on him, sadly. I'd like to see a little bit more. So much of his value is tied up in defense at a position that I really think you can try to get more offense out of. 13th in weighted on base average, 13th out of 13 in offensive value for Pinky May. OPS, he's last. Slugging, he's pretty close to last. I really think you need to try to get a little bit more offense out of your third base position. It doesn't look like it should be that bad of a card. I think if you can, it's the weird platoon splits too. I just don't know. I don't know what to think about this card. How does he have a negative stolen? Because it's net steals. So the way I calculate steals, net steals per 600 is stolen bases minus caught stealing. And so divided by 600. So basically what it's saying is he gets caught more than he steals with the negatives is what's going on there. Defense really does not need to be a priority at third. I agree. Unless you're starting all ground ball pitchers. I agree. It's third base defense is not my priority. And so I don't love Pinky May here at third base. Number 6 is Art Shireen. This is a guy that I really liked early on in the cycle. He's got a really good avoid Ks and good contact against righties, better gap and better eye against lefties. It's an interesting split, plays okay defense, came out 6th in WAR, 5th in weighted on base average. So he's starting out 5th offensively, 6th defensively. I still think he looks like a pretty usable card. 3rd in batting average, 2nd in on base percentage among third basemen, providing pretty good defense to go along with it. Again, it's not really a position where I think there's a guy that stands out among everybody else, and I think in the right lineup, Shireen can be a really effective player and give you pretty good offense. And a good combination of offense and defense as well. He's at number 6 with 2.79 WAR this week. Number 5 is Build a Legend Beltre. Let's see. What do we got? Number 1 in weighted on base average. Really, really bad defensively, dropping his WAR down to 2.81 per 600. Solid home runs. May want to platoon him, although he's going to strike out more against lefties than he will against righties. Everything else is pretty similar. It is 17 points of power versus lefties, where you're going to get a little bit more slugging, a little bit more OPS out of him. A 270 average, 317 on base percentage are kind of okay. The slugging, OPS, weighted on base average are pretty good. You're really going purely offense, and really you're probably going to want to platoon him against lefties for Beltre. Coming in at number 5, 2.81 WAR per 600. Number 4 is Lenny Harris, my guy. Really solid splits versus righties. Really, really big splits versus righties. So if you can platoon him here at 3rd, please do. We got 12,000 plate appearances worth of data on him with a 310 batting average, a 355 on base percentage, a 391 slugging. Doesn't hit a ton of home runs, but will steal some bases. 3rd among third basemen in stolen bases. 3.01 WAR. He's one of those 2nd tier third base defensive players. The errors are a little bit concerning. His fielding percentage is probably going to be a little bit lower than you necessarily like, but it's third base, so we're looking for offense. If you can platoon him, he is a very, very useful third baseman. If you can't platoon him, he is still a useful third baseman. I think that he can hit well enough versus lefties that he's not unusable at third base versus lefties. I do love... I'm only at number 4, guys. This is number 4, Nameless Poet. We got 3 guys left to talk about. Number 3 is David Fletcher. Number 1 defensively at third base. Very good bat. 3rd in WAR, 3.03. 5th in batting average, 5th in on-base percentage, 9th in slugging. So it's going to be an on-base percentage-driven kind of offense. It's singles. It's not a lot of walks. Although we will walk some. He's going to do pretty well. I think I forgot to switch the strikeouts here too, didn't I? Here we go. Let's fix that. Comma 1. I'm not going to do it for both. We'll figure it out. Good avoid Ks, good defense. Good third base option. I like David Fletcher at third base. He comes in at number 3 based off of WAR. We'll see. It's all... This is totally objective. I did nothing subjective this week in the rankings. Number 2 is Segura. For real? Dropping a 3.08 WAR over 1,200 plate appearances as a third baseman. Offensively ranks 6th, defensively ranks 3rd. I don't hate it. He looks, I don't know. He can play every day. It's going to be a good on-base percentage. He can steal some bases. I'm a little surprised to see his stolen bases this low. Again, these are as a third baseman, so if we look at his overall, they're probably somewhere, maybe somewhere in here. 287 average, 328 on-base percentage, 394 slugging. What? Okay, love you. I'm a fan. I like Segura at 3rd. I don't think this is too bad at third base for Gene Segura here at number 2. Number 1, I really don't know. Who's it going to be? Number 1. Nameless Poet might walk out on me if it's not Jack Dunn. It is Jack Dunn at number 1. 3.45 WAR per 600 for Jack Dunn. over 3,300 plate appearances at third base, 13 home runs, 40 steals, 267 batting average, 322 on base percentage, 415 slugging percentage. He has 1 split in contact, 1 point in eye versus lefties, can play versus lefties and righties. The on base percentage is a little bit low. Batting average is a little bit low. Defense is okay. I'm going to stick with my guys. I think Jack Dunn's pretty good, but he is a little bit of a mixed bag. You know, the average and on-base percentage being that low are a little bit concerning to me, even though the slugging OPS, the base running is good. I don't love him at third base. I think in the right lineup, I think you can run him. But yeah, he's being propped up by steals a little bit. No, it's WAR. So I'm just rating by WAR. So he's probably getting propped up by steals a little bit. I don't know how much steals contribute to WAR off the top of my head. I would have to do more research. So the steals definitely factor in on that. I agree, it's not my favorite profile. It's going to be a low on-base percentage. It's going to be a pretty low, like it's below average and on-base percentage. But it's definitely getting propped up. And it has a little bit more power. Pretty good power in relation to a lot of the other third basemen as well. So you're getting a combination of power and steals with that kind of mid-level defense at third base. So Dunn comes in at number 1 off of WAR. All 3,300 plate appearance from Nameless Poet, perhaps. No Yandy Diaz. Let's see if we can find him. Not enough plate appearances. Let's see what happens if I drop the plate appearances down a little bit. There's Yandy. Drop him down. He's top 10 in WAR overall, 18th in plate appearances, 13th in batting average, 1st in on-base percentage, 18th in slugging, 11th in OPS, and 6th in on-base in weighted on-base average. So looks like a walk-heavy kind of guy with not a lot of steals. Overall, he would rank 8th offensively. And 2nd in walks. Lots of walks. Can you get away with Rose at third base? I don't think so. Andy slashes 282, 381, 383, and 32,000 plate appearances for you. That's a lot of plate appearances. I don't have that many for him. I might have more at first base. Let me see what I have overall for him. This doesn't have stats or anything on here. Let's just go Yandy. I only have 1,300 plate appearances for him, which seems exceptionally low based off of what you're seeing. So, I don't know. I must just not be seeing people running him all that much over the last week. Shortstops. Holy smokes. What is it? Almost 1? Stankiewicz is at number 10. Your 4th most used. I know some people who really, really like this card. 2.05 WAR per 600. 9th out of 14 and defensive value, 75 range, 67 arm, 63 hour, 62 turn double play with a 60 shortstop rating. Definitely not unusable. Splits are interesting. He'll have better on base percentage, better batting average versus lefties, I think. Maybe comparable on base percentage, but better average versus lefties. Not a lot of home runs here, but you don't expect that out of your shortstop. You want defense, and he's 9th at shortstop. Also 9th in weighted on base average. I think it's an interesting card. I think it's playable. I don't love it. I think if you're going to be a mediocre defensive shortstop and I'm going to play you offensively, then you better be pretty darn good offensively. And he's a little bit of a mixed bag. Good on base percentage, but not a ton of steals to go along with it. So Stankiewicz is at number 10. You got Schiller. I don't know if I have Schiller on the list. Guillorm comes in at number 9, your number 1 defensive shortstop. Offensively, he's kind of bad, even among shortstops. He's 10th out of 14 among shortstops. 2nd in on-base percentage, though. So, you know, maybe. He's a really, really good defensive shortstop. I like him at shortstop a little bit better than second base just because you're going to get a little bit more defensive value out of him here. I do not play him at shortstop currently, but I also forget who I play at shortstop currently, so we'll move on from Louis Guillorm. 9th in WAR at 2.17. Number 8. Schaefer, gotcha. Number 8 is Rick Burleson at shortstop. I like this card a lot. He gives you a little bit of offense. 4th in weighted on base average. 4th in OPS. Mediocre defense. So when I talk about Stankiewicz, right? I'm like, yeah, if you're mediocre defensively, which he's exactly, I don't know the ratings. I can't remember the ratings off the top of my head, but he's pretty close. Exactly the same defensive value, in fact, as Stankiewicz overall. But he's giving you a little bit more offense here. You got a 281 average, a 317 weighted on base average, a 717 OPS, and a 396 slugging. Some home runs in there. A little bit of base running, not much. Sorry, adjusting myself. The strikeouts we'll fix to see where he actually stands there. And there we go. I don't think he's the be-all, end-all. I don't think you have to have him in your lineup. However, I think he's a usable card and a fun card. I think he's a fun shortstop card, more so than a usable shortstop card. He comes in at number 8 with 2.33 WAR per 600. Number 7. I'm going to take a quick break after this. Is Ha-Seong Kim. 11th defensively, so he definitely lags behind a little bit here defensively at shortstop. He is not an elite shortstop. Offensively, you're seeing the 5th weighted on base average, 5th in OPS, 6th in slugging, 8th in on base percentage, and 8th in batting average. Over 4,000 plate appearances that he's been listed as a shortstop. Mid-teens in home runs. He'll run the bases for you. Not going to strike out a ton, but you know, enough that he's pretty bad among shortstops. 7th in walks and 7th in WAR per 600 among shortstops. Not too many splits. A little bit of a split versus lefties, but usable versus righties. And that's Kim at number 7. Number 6. Who's Tavares? What are we talking about here? I don't know what you guys are talking about over there. You can't find a reset password section your email is used. Are you talking about your Twitch drops? That would be something you want to get in touch with TJ or Nicolino about. Madrigal comes in at number 6, dropping 2.35 WAR per 600 as a shortstop over 6,100 innings or plate appearances, I should say, not 3 games. That's something that I need to get fixed. Number 1 in batting average. Number 3 in on base percentage. Number 4 in slugging. Number 2 in OPS, number 2 in weighted on base average. 6th in WAR overall. Defensively, he's 13th out of 14. 1st in strikeouts. Doesn't strike out at all. No surprise there. Mediocre defensively at shortstop. Very, very good offensively at shortstop. His bat plays up here a little bit. His defense plays down here a little bit at shortstop. Again, I don't think he's unusable at shortstop. I think I like him better at second base if you're going to go that route. Number 5 is Willie Adames, coming in at number 5. 7th defensively at shortstop and 6th offensively. 2.39 WAR per 600 for him. Home runs, he's 2nd among shortstops with 14.02. The batting average and the on-base percentage, however, are pretty low. Slugging, OPS, and weighted on-base average are pretty high. You want to play an okay defensive shortstop that you can put in the middle of your lineup? I mean, Adames is going to hit for you. He's going to be okay. I think he's it's a really interesting card to me, especially if you can platoon him versus lefties. I think he can hit pretty well for you from the shortstop position and play good defensive shortstop for you as well. He's not Ozzie Smith, bronze Ozzie Smith defensive shortstop, but nobody is this year. So I think Adames is an interesting option at shortstop as well, depending on how you want to build your lineup. Madrigal hit his first career. I saw that. His first career home run yesterday for Madrigal. Fletcher comes in at number 4 at shortstop with a 2.44 WAR per 600. Only 3,600 plate appearances for him out of the shortstop position. He is number 6 defensively based off of ratings. Second in batting average, 7th in on-base percentage, slugging, OPS, and weighted on-base average for him while playing shortstop. Second in strikeouts for him. 10th in home runs and 11th in net steals. I like Fletcher. I think he's the kind of guy that you can plug into your lineup, and he's very useful in a lot of different ways. He comes in at number 4 here at shortstop. Number 3 is Vizcaíno. So here was the guy that, I was really high on with that first stream. Still getting used quite a bit. I still like him a lot. 3rd in WAR per 600 at 2.52. I'm not as sold on him being a must-have as I necessarily was when I first saw the card. Obviously. Come on. Just trying to get you to expand. There we go. 14,000 plate appearances for him. A 287 batting average is very good. A 325 on base percentage is a little bit lower than I would necessarily like. Okay slugging, okay OPS, good weighted on base average. 3rd ranked defensive shortstop by ratings. Can run the bases just a little bit, not great. But the batting average is good. I like him. He can hit in a couple different places in your lineup, I think, and play good defense while giving you some decent offense as well. I still do like this card, but I don't, I don't think it's a must-have. That first day when we did bronze, I was like, this is the card, and I have to walk back on that a little bit. I don't think it's a must-have, but I think it's a very usable card, and I think it's a good card at shortstop too. So, he is number 3. Number 2 at shortstop is Ahmed Rosario. Number 5 defensively, number 3 offensively, dropping 2.82 WAR on you guys per 600 plate appearances and 7,800 plate appearances, a 284 average. Similar to Vizcaíno in that the on-base percentage is low. He does not walk very much. It's a very singles-driven on-base percentage and still pretty low. Some slugging percentage here, 402 slugging, 2nd among shortstops, 3rd in OPS, and 3rd in weighted on-base average among shortstops, while playing pretty good defense as well. 5th defensively at shortstop. He was your best player in the Master Series. Who's that, Superman? Vizcaíno or Rosario? I've had some luck with Rosario. And again, we'll talk a little bit about my lineup construction right now. I think I'm running him at shortstop. Oh, what did I just press? I hate it when I press buttons right now and I don't know what they are. He comes in at number 2. Number 1 at shortstop. I have no clue. Crawford? Is it JP Crawford? Nope, it's Charlie Dexter. All right. Let's talk about Charlie Dexter. Charlie Dexter plays catcher. Charlie Dexter plays shortstop. Charlie Dexter plays center field. Charlie Dexter plays right field. He's not exceptional at any of those positions. However, Charlie Dexter hits a lot of home runs. Charlie Dexter steals a lot of bases. Charlie Dexter doesn't strike out much. Charlie Dexter walks a lot. Charlie Dexter is all over the base paths. Would I play him at shortstop? I like Charlie Dexter in right field. I think you can get away with Charlie Dexter in center field. You can probably get away with him in shortstop. If you're just all in on offense and you're like, defense, yeah, right. My pitchers are going to strike everybody out. I think you can play Charlie Dexter at any one of these positions because he's a really phenomenal offensive bat. He's a mixed bag defensively. So, Rosario was a silver during that first stream, so that makes sense. Yeah, that makes sense. That does make sense to me. And so that's Charlie Dexter, guys. He comes in at number 1 at shortstop. 1,231 plate appearances at shortstop. Didn't have enough to qualify at catcher. I think most people are just leaving him at center field, maybe at right field. We'll see if he shows up on those lists. This is a really solid offensive card at bronze. It's a really good card that is going to walk. It's not an empty walks. I'd love him as a leadoff hitter, perhaps. Maybe a number 2 hitter. I don't love him as a number 2 hitter. I really think that he's got to be a leadoff hitter in my lineup, the way that I build my lineups, just because I really like my number 2 hitter to be moving my leadoff hitter around the bases by hitting the ball. And Dexter doesn't put a lot of balls in play. Like, they're home runs or they're walks, but he's really good. It's a really really good card. Or use him as a super sub. Use him as a shortstop, center fielder, right fielder, as a utility guy too. You don't have to start him every day. I think it's a really cool card. Guys, I'm going to take a quick break. My throat's starting to hurt a little bit. I'm going to go drink some water, and I'll be back in just a couple minutes. Thanks for bearing with me today. I know it's a mess of a stream, but we'll be back with the outfielders here in just a minute. Thanks, guys. All right, we're back. Dan Gladden comes in at number 10 in left field. 2,300 plate appearances. They might all be mine. Lots of people still using George Case. Lots of people still using Tim Raines. Gladden comes in at number 10. He is ranking second defensively. Offensively, I had him playing really well, and then he kind of cooled off. He has got to be platooned, does Dan Gladden. This is number 10. Number 10? Number 10. If you're asking what number Dan Gladden is. I'm still waiting for the video to catch up. Make sure that I didn't mess the whole thing up. Let's move over here. Did I break it? Am I back? Am I actually back? I can't tell. Anyhow, I'll keep talking and hope the video catches up. Yeah, there we go. It looks like we're started. So I'm just going to keep going. I am, apparently my bandwidth is like, nope, we're going to wait and show you the video a minute after you start. Gladden has to be platooned. He is unplayable versus righties. I really like him versus left-handed pitching. A 271 average overall, 328, 421 slugging, 749 OPS, weighted on base average at 330, while playing good defense, while being able to run. Some of these numbers are lower than I expected to see out of him. I've had really good luck with him. I don't think all of these are my Dan Gladden, all 200 2,300 plate appearances. I get the feeling that somebody is not platooning him, but I've had really good luck with him. I like Dan Gladden a lot. And so, but again, platoon him versus lefties, and a 2.11 WAR for Gladden per 600 plate appearances. Number 9 is Jose Tabata. Comes in at number 9. 2.12 WAR per 600 for him. 261 average, 343 on base percentage, 356 slugging, 699 OPS, and a 316 weighted on base average for your number 1 rated defensive left fielder. That is a lot of defense or WAR value wrapped up in defense. This is not a great offensive card right now. I think if you can platoon him versus lefties, he could potentially be okay, but those are some pretty big splits versus lefties. So I like Gladden's batting profile plus defensive profile better than Tabata. And I think Tabata, like Gladden, is pretty close to not usable versus right-handed pitching in this format. This card to me like screams, I'm Dan Gladden, just not as good to me. Is what Tabata looks like. Only 1,500 plate appearances for him. Put him at number 10. Number 8 in left field. Can you hear me, Clem Fandango? Matt Merton. I've been wanting to use that on stream forever. Sorry. Matt Merton comes in at number 8. Another lefty split guy. 73 contact. This is a card that I don't know that I've seen yet. 73 contact, 51 gap, 59 power, 65 eyes, 79 avoid Ks. Similar profile to Gladden against lefties, a little bit better versus righties than either of the first two guys that we saw, either Gladden or Tabata. And putting up really good offensive numbers right now. A 338 weighted on base average, a 285 batting average, 359 on base percentage. The counting stats are a little bit lower. Let's fix strikeouts for these guys too. So much work to do this week. All right. 7th in strikeouts. So 757 OPS. Martin looks pretty good offensively. I feel like he's probably getting platooned a little bit better than Gladden right now over his 1,900 plate appearances. Again, kind of similar profile to Gladden. I wish that it was faster for me to go back and forth so that we could compare them, but it's a similar profile. Less speed, good stealing, good base running, but with a 17 speed, who cares, right? And so performing a little bit better right now. Defensively, he's definitely a step behind those two guys, though. So good offensive card versus lefties. Looks like an okay offensive card versus righties, perhaps. And an okay defense in left field. He throws to the center fielder, so yeah, that's what I have to do. Like, I might have a better arm than him at this point. Raines comes in at number 7. This is your most used left fielder right now. 7th in WAR, 2.26, over 26,000 plate appearances for Tim Raines. Interesting splits versus righties. You got 14 points worth of gap. You've got 3 points of eye. The avoid case splits a little bit versus lefties. Again, just 2.26 WAR per 600 for Tim Raines right now. Defensively, he's bad, close to the worst defensive left fielder that's qualified. 2nd in batting average, though. 1st in on base percentage. 7th in slugging, 1st in OPS, 1st in weighted on base average. Your number 2 offensive valued first baseman right now. 6 home runs, so it's all batting average and walks driven. It's a very heavy batting average, on base percentage driven, OPS and weighted on base average. The slugging isn't super high. This is a really useful card. If you're going pure offense at left field, which you can probably get away with, Raines might be the way to go. He's pushing 3 WAR for you most weeks. Interesting. He pushed 2.26 for us here, which, different data set. Maybe could be. Yeah, definitely could DH him potentially as well. So he comes in at 7. At 6 this week in left field is George Case, for real. So your 2 most used come in 7th and 6th. for you this week. Case has very slight splits versus righties. Except in eye. His eye goes down by 6. But he can play every day. This is a fun card. He can steal bases, 43 steals per 600, number 1 in batting average, 7th in on-base percentage, 8th in slugging, 5th in OPS, and 334 weighted on-base average. Again, much like every other position, there's a bunch of usable guys here. And I like Case. I think Case is a phenomenal card. 18th defensively in left field. So again, the reins, the George Case, if you want just pure offense out of left field, are a really good way to go. This is a really good leadoff batter for you in George Case. And so that's he comes in at number 6. Again, I have a feeling that he's getting DH just like Reigns a little bit, which is dragging his WAR down some. And so just keep that in mind. They're probably slightly higher on the list or slightly lower on the list than they necessarily should be for this week. But both of them look really good offensively, but a mixed bag defensively. Number 5 is Bob Globe. Only 625 plate appearances for him in left field. Number 2 in weighted on base average. Number 1 offensively is what it's saying. Home runs, steals. The batting average is low. The on base percentage is really low. But a good slugging percentage, good OPS, good weighted on base average. Can hit home runs. Defensively, he's 15th. So again, much like those other 2 guys, if you can platoon him, you'll get a little bit more out of him, but I don't think he has to be platooned. I think that his splits are close enough that he could play every day if you really wanted to. Who would you DH over Case and Reigns, and who would you start in left field? Good question. What's up, Will? I don't know the answer to that. I don't have Reigns yet on this team. I probably need to buy him at some point because he is a good-looking card. Again, I'm going to talk about my team at the end. I think I made some poor decisions, and I think I got really lucky with the Masters Series this weekend. So I wouldn't go looking at my team from that tournament and trying to build anything off of it, but I'll talk about my thoughts behind it as well. Felipe Alou comes in at number 4 with 653 plate appearances, 5th in weighted on base average, middle of the pack defensively in left field at 8th out of 18 guys. Decent power, 15 home runs per 600 plate appearances. Pretty good batting average at 281, 436 slugging, 762 OPS. Splits versus righties. So perhaps a platoon with, my man Dan Gladden. Alou's not a guy I've really looked into too much that I might need to think about using. Number 3. In left field. You'd use Reigns in left field in Case at DH between the 2. Number 3 is Davy Jones. This is my platoon currently with Dan Gladden. Good batting average, good on-base percentage, and can run. I don't have a lot of base runners in my lineup. 70 contact, 75 I, 69 avoid K versus righties. Not a lot of power. He does lead off for me against right-handed pitching. And that 372 batting average is very, very good. Over 11,000 plate appearances. Offensively, he's still ranking out at 9th, though, because that weighted on base average is pretty low. It is very walks and very singles driven on base percentage. 82 walks per 600 has him 3rd. He's not going to strike out a ton. 8th out of 18 with just 95. That's sub 100 strikeouts. He'll steal 55 to 60. And so I like the platoon between him and Dan Gladden. I like Gladden versus lefties because he's very effective versus lefties. But based off of what I'm seeing today, I may move on to a different platoon versus righties. I do like Jones. I think he's great. He does exactly what I want him to do. He plays okay defense in left field while getting on base at the top of my order. And that's really all I ask out of him, to let the guys behind him drive him in. So I like him. Use Alou in center field with a Rocco platoon. Interesting. We'll check out center field when we get there. Your Davy Jones has a much higher weighted on base average at 332. Maybe I'm just a really bad manager of players. So do you track, Drunken Superman, do you track just your team or the whole league? Podsednik has top speed and excellent defense. I don't know if I've seen the Podsednik card yet. You have a 331 weighted on base average through 96,000. Interesting. So mine is underperforming, it looks like. Alan Wiggins comes out at number 2. 2.57 WAR, 281 average, 360 on base percentage, 323 weighted on base average, 711 OPS, and a 351 slugging for Alan Wiggins. Number 1 in steals, but number 2 in WAR. Mediocre defensively. It's that is a very steals heavy WAR for Alan Wiggins here. It's crazy. That is a lot of WAR from stolen bases for Wiggins. I don't love him here either. I'm not gonna lie. But a 281 batting average, 360 on base percentage as a left fielder is not terrible. And your number 1 left fielder for this week, according to WAR, is, I don't know, Bob Bescher. For real? Bob Bescher dropping another guy that's heavy on steals. Defense is kind of a switch hitter. Splits versus righties. Pretty heavy splits versus righties, especially an I and avoid Ks. And 13 points of gap power. 369 on base percentage. I don't love this card. Not in love with it for sure. Any data on Norm Miller? I'll check. You do the whole tournament. Interesting. Scotty Paz is from the new data dump. I don't know if I have data on Podsednik yet. We'll take a look. Was left fielder on your Pines that got second in the Master Series. Let's see if I have anything on him at all from this week. I only got 509 plate appearances for him. We'll have to make an adjustment somewhere. Interesting. I'm surprised I only got that much. Where am I? Here. So Bescher with a 369 on base percentage and 60 plus steals per 600. So it's between him and the last guy we just saw, Wiggins. I like Wiggins a little bit better. I think Wiggins overall has a better offensive value. Keep in mind, this is a really small sample size of just 729 plate appearances for Bescher. It is a very walk heavy on base percentage, which isn't necessarily bad considering his profile. So maybe as a leadoff hitter or a number 9 hitter, he's not providing any defense. I don't love Bescher in left field. I don't love that card very much. Let's see. Who else are we looking for? Run, Wiggins, run. Agreed. Only a Bescher rates real high for you two, but you only platoon him. Interesting. On base percentage of 387. Not bad. So maybe he's better than we think. You only have 111 plate appearances for Norm Miller. Bescher getting rewarded for being a platoon that steals. Yeah, probably is what that is. Do I have McGee? Lee McGee I've got at 13th in WAR rank. What are we seeing for him? We're seeing a 250 average, 322 on base percentage, 371 slugging for McGee, 693 OPS, and a 310 weighted on base average for McGee. All right, so center fielders. Kiermaier still the most used. Birmingham number 2. So Baldelli number 3. So we'll see where they fall. Frenchie Bordeguerie comes in at number 10. I almost said 1. That would have been wrong. Number 1 in weighted on base average for Bordeguerie, which I don't buy. This is a 606 plate appearance sample size. He graded a 302 batting average, a 342 on base percentage, a 408 slugging, 750 OPS, and a 332 weighted on base average. And with this profile, I just don't see that holding up long term. But who knows? Maybe I'm crazy. I could be wrong. I don't love this card. Number 9. Number 1 in best names. Yeah, I agree. Number 9 is Joe Delahanty, your 10th most used, 936 plate appearance sample size. We only had 13 center field qualifiers this week. Number 3 in home runs. Number 5 in steals. Number 6 in strikeouts. I got to fix it here too. Sorry, guys. There we go. Number 9 in strikeouts, I should say. 5th in walks. So average of 221 for Delahanty, 305 on base percentage, 12th defensively. Not sure how we're getting 2 full WAR out of this. Don't love it. Don't love it. Lots of home runs. He hits more home runs than other center fielders. But okay. Number 8. I think I pressed enter. There we go. Kyle Lewis comes in at number 8. Oh, my friend. 9th in on-base percentage, top 10 in on-base percentage, slugging, OPS, weighted on-base average. Home runs, he's 2nd among center fielders. Net steals, he's at negative 1.69. Not as good a base runner here in bronze as he is down in iron. Defensively, he's number 2 among center fielders in bronze. He's a pretty good defensive center fielder with a little bit of a bat. I'm going to be honest with you. I don't think Kyle Lewis is unusable here in bronze. He's going to strike out a ton, but he's going to hit okay for you too, and he's going to play pretty good defense. I actually think his offense is better than Kiermaier's. We'll take a look when we get to Kiermaier and see what we think. If Kiermaier is in the top 10, we'll see. Number 7. I wouldn't say go use Kyle Lewis, but I don't think he's unusable here in bronze either. Victor Reyes comes in at number 7. He's your 5th highest rated defensive center fielder. Number 5 in batting average. Number 13 in on-base percentage, just over 300. That's a pretty low on-base percentage. Slugging is good, 382. 684 OPS and a 300 weighted on-base average are all pretty mediocre. This is your live Victor Reyes. And putting up pretty good defensive numbers, 2.32 WAR for him over just 698 plate appearances. Again, another card that I don't really love here in center field, but that is making it by WAR. Number 6. Yeah, Lewis might be a bronze in a couple weeks. Is he playing well? I haven't had a chance to look. Thank you. Number 6 is Michael A. Taylor, your number 3 best defensive center fielder. And offensively, number 2 in weighted on base. What? Number 2 in weighted on base average for Michael A. Taylor. 7th in batting average, 6th in on base percentage. Number 1 in home runs over 732 plate appearances for Michael Taylor, while playing pretty good defense too. Perhaps better suited. No, I don't like him in left field or right field. This is interesting. The avoid Ks is really low. I don't know that these numbers hold up long term. I could see him as a utility outfield. I am not currently using him, but I think he's a guy who I may look into adding to my outfield as a utility player. Solid numbers for him in a very small sample size right now for Michael Taylor. Number 5. There's Joe Birmingham, 7th defensively out of 13, so not bad. Offensively, he's 8th weighted on base average at 314, 5th overall offensively. Steals some bases, 26 to 30. Won't strike out too much, unlike some of the other center. There's a lot of strikeouts here in center field. WAR is at 2.67. Decent defense with pretty good offense for Joe Birmingham. A 289 batting average, of 403 slugging percentage at 716 OPS. Just about 10 home runs with base running to go along with it. I can see why people like this card. Very little split as well, so he can play pretty much every day. Definitely that next tier of center fielders behind the Kyle Lewis, behind the Rocco Baldelli, behind the Kevin Kiermaier. But I don't think it's a bad card. I like Joe Birmingham. I know a lot of people swear by him, getting a little bit more offense out of center field. No one uses Tom Oliver. I haven't seen too much of Tom Oliver here in bronze, no. But he is a good defensive center fielder, I agree. Number 4 is your Build-A-Legend, Mike Cameron. 2.81 WAR per 600 this week. 11th in batting average and 10th in on-base percentage. And amongst center fielders, those are both pretty bad numbers. Slugging percentage at 395, OPS at 713, weighted on base average of 316, grades out 7th offensively, 10th defensively. Somehow getting a lot of WAR. Not a ton of steals either for Cameron. He comes in at number 4. I don't love this card. It's not my favorite of the Build-A-Legend bronzes. I don't really love any of the Build-A-Legend bronzes. I did finish one of the perfects. I finished Harry Heilman with the decimals, so that was kind of cool. Ryan McKenna comes in at number 3. 3rd in weighted on base average. 8th defensively. Number 1 in walks, number 6 in strikeouts. Good on base percentage at 356. Batting average a little bit lower at 247. Hits for a little bit of power, 7 home runs. Can steal some bases. Net positive in both of those categories. OPS, he's at a 712. Weighted on base average of 324. Minor splits versus left-handed pitching. Again, not unusable, but I think there's better options out there than Ryan McKenna. Small sample size, 974 plate appearances. Yeah, more than Lucroy. No, I agree. I agree with that. Baldelli comes in at number 2, which I like to see. Splits versus lefties. Pretty heavy splits versus lefties. He's 4th on your defensive ratings among center fielders. Offensively dropping a 291 batting average, 322 on base percentage, 407 slugging percentage. Good base running ability. 4th in weighted on base average. 4th overall offensively. 4th overall defensively. He's dropping almost 3 WAR per 600 right now. This is my center fielder. I can't remember if I'm platooning him off the top of my head right now. We're going to look at my team in a minute. I don't like bringing my teams up because it always makes me look dumb. Your number 1 center fielder for this week, according to WAR, is Bill O'Hara. Very steals heavy WAR here. Not good defensively in center field. I would play him in right field perhaps. Maybe in left field, but I don't think his bat play is up there. 5,300 plate appearances, though, so that's not a small sample size. It's just got to be those steals that are driving him up in WAR quite a bit. 5th in strikeouts, 4th in walks, good on base percentage, decent weighted on base average at 319. This is a bad defensive card, though, that I don't love. And so a lot of people do, obviously. Platoon him versus righties. I think you can get away with it. But I don't love it. I don't love this card all that much. Not my favorite. We didn't even see Kiermaier. Where are you at, Kevin Kiermaier? Defensively ranks 1st. No surprise there. WAR, he ranked 13th, dropping a 1.82 WAR per 600. 227 batting average, sub 300 on base percentage, 356 slugging percentage, a 650 OPS is dead last. A 290 weighted on base average is dead last. Can run a little bit. Not very, very bad offensively. If you're just going straight defense, Kiermaier is the way to go. But man, is he bad offensively. You like Alou in center field with Rocco? I can see it. I don't think Alou had enough. Yeah, Alou didn't qualify as a center fielder. Let's see what happens if I do this. I may as well just mess the whole sheet up while we're here today. We got 1 position left. He still doesn't qualify, so he just didn't get enough plate appearances in center field for me to compare him with the rest of these guys. So we'll move on to right field and see if we see. I think we saw him in left field, right? Alou, what did we see out of Alou? 2.48 WAR as a left fielder. Overall 281. Yeah, I like his profile. Defensively, let's take a look at Alou. Where's my game? I got another pack. We're up to 10 packs. Let's check him out in center field. Only a 47 center field rating. His defensive rating 68 range. So you're going to lose a little bit defensively, but yeah, that is a solid versus righties with Baldelli against lefties. If you can live with his defense in center field, Alou is going to give you some offense that not a lot of other guys who qualify in center field can. You just pulled a perfect Petrocelli from the last drop pack. Congratulations. Yeah, he's not very good defensively in center field, but if you're just going all in on offense, then feel free to use him. I think that is a spectacular platoon offensively with Baldelli. Number 10 in right field is Mike Tauchman. I like Tauchman as a platoon, or not a platoon, as a utility guy, although the numbers here don't look great. Defensively, he's number 2 defensively among as far as ratings in right field. Slight splits versus righties. Maybe a little bit more than slight split versus righties. I've been using him as a backup left field, backup right field backup designated hitter on my bronze teams. A lot of these plate appearances are probably mine, and his performance is slacking right now. 12th among right fielders, 17 qualifiers. Number 9 is Carl Taylor, comes in at number 9. We saw him at first base too. He's got 1,900 plate appearances as a right fielder. I like him versus lefties. He's okay versus righties. I know this looks terrifying. The eye is really the biggest thing. 14 points of eye is going to affect his on-base average. But 5th offensively among guys who play right field, but 11th out of 17 defensively. A 2.2 WAR as a right fielder over 1,900 plate appearances. 9.35 home runs. 3 steals per 600 for him. 3rd in average on-base percentage, 9th in slugging, 5th in OPS, and 5th in weighted on-base average for Carl Taylor. Number 8, you pulled a live Bellinger. He's pretty bad, yeah. You pulled a perfect Candy Cummings from one of my drops. Ends a long drought. Congratulations. I love hearing you guys get perfect, historical perfects out of the drops from the stream. So Mitch Haniger comes in at number 8. That's kind of cool. Up to a 69. Try to platoon him. A little bit of a split. 15 points of gap, 5 points of power, 9 points of eye, 2 points of avoid Ks versus righties. So if you can platoon him versus righties, you might get something good out of him with pretty good defense to go along with it. I haven't even looked at this card, if I'm being totally honest, but it definitely looks usable here in bronze. Mitch Haniger comes in at number 8. Number 7 is Jordan Luplow. What? Platoon this guy versus lefties and you'll get some home runs. 20 home runs per 600 for Luplow. 7th in OPS, 7th in weighted on base average, 4th in slugging. Pretty low batting average, not surprised about that. It's a low contact and a low avoid Ks, but a good on base percentage of 341. I say good. An okay on base percentage. Not a lot of base running, decent defense, pretty good defensive right fielder, can play right field and left field. Potentially a utility outfielder for you. He comes in at number 7. Number 6 is, you got 100 Miller Huggins from a drop. That Miller Huggins card is sweet. It's your first historical perfect. Congratulations. I like that Miller Huggins card. Joe Gordon gives a little bit better bat, but that Miller Huggins card is a very good defensive card. Pat McNulty comes in at number 6. Number 1 in walks. Oh, I forgot to switch strikeouts here in right field for right fielders. Come on. There we go. Pat McNulty comes in at number 6. 760 plate appearances. Number 2 in weighted on base average at 351. Number 1 in on base percentage. I have to imagine that is a small sample size driven amount of data right there. Versus righties, you got a 64 avoid Ks with a 63 contact, which isn't terrible. With a 68 eye, maybe he can keep up that on-base percentage. It's not totally empty either, so it's you got some singles in there, you got some doubles. This isn't a bad-looking bat. Defensively, it's terrible. The worst defensive right fielder, tied for the worst, but 4th in OPS and 2nd in weighted on base average. Not a ton of power, not a ton of speed. It's pretty one-dimensional. It's going to be singles or walks for you. So it kind of is what it is. I don't love it. Another one of those cards that I don't think is unusable, but that I would probably try to stay away from, and would need more of a sample size to convince me that it's going to be better than mediocre. Number 4 is Austin Slater. I like this card a bit. Dropping a 336 weighted on base average. A little bit of speed, some decent power. Top 10 in both of those. Top 5 in steals. Gonna walk a bunch. Good on base percentage at 350. A 260 batting average. 404 slugging. 754 OPS. Are both just slightly higher than your average here for qualifying right fielders. I probably need to move on from Austin Slater. I've been using him as a guy against lefties in right field and kind of as a utility outfielder. He's okay. I'll be streaming for a little bit longer. We're going to finish right fielders. We're going to do utility guys really quickly. And then we're going to check out my team from the Bronze Masters and talk about how bad I did at putting it together as we move on to number 4. And then we'll open a few packs. It'll be about 2:30 before I finish. So somewhere between 20 and 45 minutes. Bud Sukuk comes up at number 4. Platoon versus lefties. This is a card that will mash left-handed pitching for you. 55 contact, 88 gap, 95 power, 51 eye, 66 avoid Ks. If you can get him in and platoon him versus lefties, he will mash. Stay away from him versus righties, I think. I don't think the 76 power is enough to overcome his deficiencies against righties. Possibly a designated hitter versus left-handed pitching, but he puts up a 350 weighted on base average, 25 points of offensive value. Number 1 in home runs among right fielders, number 1 in slugging as well. Number 3. He plays third for you? Interesting. Ollie Brown comes in at number 3. 9th most used player. A little bit of a split versus lefties, so probably want to try to platoon him. 13 points of eyes is the biggest split. 2nd in batting average, 5th in on-base percentage for Ollie Brown. 10th in weighted on-base average, though. Putting up some pretty good defense. Top 3rd defensively among right fielders. Number 3 in WAR somehow. I don't know how. It's very batting average, on-base percentage WAR. I'm a little surprised to see his WAR number that high, if I'm being totally honest, for Ollie Brown. Based off of the numbers I'm seeing here. Another kind of good, not great platoon versus lefties kind of guy. Number 2 in right field is eventually going to be Pavin Smith. We talked about him at first base. Dropping a 3.19 WAR per 600 in right field. A 290 batting average. A 362 on-base percentage, 457 slugging, 820 OPS, 360 weighted on-base average. Small sample size of 771. These numbers are slightly inflated from what we saw of him at first base, where he had a little bit more of a sample size. Mid-teens and home runs. Not going to strike out much. The on-base, the batting average. This is a good card. I like this card a lot in right field. If you can platoon it versus righties, great. I don't think you need to. Again, they're not huge splits. It's just 3 or 4 points of splits. I think he can play every day, and he's gonna put up pretty decent defense in right field as well. Well, you can't platoon everybody, but I'm not gonna build your team for you either. So that's not my job. Just run no bullpen so you can run platoons everywhere. We'll talk about that in a minute. I don't think you can quite get away with that. But you're number 1 right fielder for this week, according to WAR. I went 3. I went the wrong way. Nuh-uh. Are you kidding me? Kyle Lewis, number 1 in WAR. Because he's pretty good defensively. He's okay offensively. Now I feel bad for you guys even sitting around here all this time. I think he's usable. I think he's very, very usable. This is a small sample size for WAR. That doesn't even make sense. This is a small sample size driven WAR for Kyle Lewis in right field. Just insane. 279 average, 370 on base percentage, 784 OPS, over 600 plate appearances. Terrible stream today. This was awful. Pavin's never been consistent enough for you. 3 full-time position players. 12 pitchers, 33 full-time position players. Yeah, we'll see. You're getting noise from people playing in the wrong positions. Perhaps. What do I have for Rose on offense? Let's find him. Let's see. Is Rose on here? Where is Rose? Let's check him out. No, we're going to skip that. We're going to go straight here. Pete Rose, I have at number 2 overall offensively. 26,000 plate appearances for him, but he didn't show up anywhere. I don't remember seeing him on any lists, which is weird. So obviously some kinks to work out there. Dropping 2.66 WAR per 600 for Build a Legend Rose. 360. Why did he not show up? I don't know what happened there. That was weird. Look him up. All he plays is third base, right? I didn't see him on the third base anywhere. Look, because he's not on here. Doesn't make sense. Something's wrong. Unless everybody's just playing him as a designated hitter, which is possible, I guess. Very good offensively for Pete Rose. I'm going here. All right, so these guys are sorted in order of offensive value, which again is some combination of weighted on base average, stolen bases, batting average, and slugging. So Jose Martinez came out at number 1, Pete Rose at number 2, Tim Raines at number 3, Case, Dexter, Sukak at numbers. Your next number is Castellanos showing up here offensively. Carl Taylor, Ham Hyatt, Austin Slater, Alec Boehm, Alan Wiggins. I think we're through a top 10 here. Pavin Smith, Harold Baines, Rich McKinney, who I really like, dropping 2 WAR per 600. Rose is DH only. Yeah, he's got to be DH only. Yeah, I know you guys probably can't see this too well because it's big. Gandalf, G-Man, Jack Dunn, Matt Merton, Jordan Luplow, Jerome Walton showing up offensively over how many plate appearances? 1,100 plate appearances for Jerome Walton at this point. Solid offensive value for him. Let's talk about infielders. These are guys who have at least a 40 at least 3 infield positions. You've got Fletcher, Rosario. They are sorted by, well, nothing right now. Let's go here. Let's sort by offensive value. There. Maybe. Eventually. I'm so glad to be done with this sheet today. What a frustrating day. Listella was number 1 in offensive value among utility infielders. Solano, Okendo, him, Rosario, Fletcher, Risberg. I love this sweet Risberg card too. Desi Relaford and Joey Wendell are your infielders, and your outfielders are, we'll sort them to by offensive value. Tachman was number 1 in plate appearances, but by offensive value, it's going to be, looks like Austin Slater. Slater, Tachman, O'Hara, Enrique Hernandez, Denny Hawking, Lou Finney, Thomas Howard, and Joe Delahanty. You like Jerome Walton in center field? Pretty sure you've had every name on this page on your team at one point or another. Possibly. I don't put the full spreadsheets on Discord, no. I just put the rankings, and I'm going to have to work on that because I don't have a summary sheet right now. So it may or may not be up on my Discord today. The spreadsheet is a disaster right now. The old spreadsheet was a disaster too, but at least it was usable. This spreadsheet is a mess, and I'm really upset about it breaking last night. Let's talk about my Bronze Masters team, if I can still pull it up. Let's find out. Your tournaments. Let's show you what I went with when we came in second place in the Master Series. My wife brought me a sandwich that I haven't eaten yet, and I'm going to feel really bad. 151. We got loads of time. I very much run a 7-man bullpen in tournaments and a 14-man offense in tournaments. Now, what I will say as we get into this team, we finished second. I hated this team. I absolutely hated this team going into this tournament. I started looking at, so obviously I restarted data last week, right? Just to see what I could get. And then they dropped the bronze tournament on us on what, Tuesday? Tuesday or Wednesday is when they're like, here, this is your first event. It's a bronze, no designated hitter, which we hadn't seen before. There's no bronze, no DH data set that I could go from. So my team is basically my bronze best of 7 team that I was working on. So Friday, I started putting them together. I got home Friday night from the game, which took forever. And I was up till 1:30, 2 o'clock at the, much to my wife's chagrin, trying to put this team together, trying to get anything out of my bronze team. Because all last week, as I'm gathering this data on the decimals, all last week, it's like, it's first round finishes. Like, we're getting knocked out in the first round. We're getting knocked out in the second round at best. And then all of a sudden it started to come together a little bit Friday. We won 2 tournaments Friday night, came in second a couple times, finished third overnight Friday. And so Saturday morning I woke up and I'm like, you know what? This is just, we're just putting it together and we're gonna roll with it. It's our best of 7 with DH team. And this is what we came up with for this tournament. And I'll talk a little bit more in depth about some of it. So we went with Paige, Bonham, And then lefties, Osborne, Strom, and Gross to close out the rotation. I'm going to talk about Osborne and Strom because they were very important to my team in this tournament in kind of two different ways. You can see the bullpen fell apart at the end. We were very tired by the end of this tournament. And so it was a long tournament. And I might have had a shot at winning if I had an 8-man pen going into the finals. It's a little bit disappointing because if you notice, we swept the semifinals. And so we should have been rested going into the finals. We just got beat up a little bit in the finals as we went. Our bullpen was Twitchell, Matt Belisle, Misevich, Bobby Thigpen, Fernando Salas, Joe Nathan, and Michael King. Pretty solid bullpen, I think. Salas was the worst of our bullpen pitchers. Our bullpen was just solid. Twitchell was out freaking standing this tournament. 0.78 earned run average over 23 innings pitched. Belisle and Misevich both pitched really well, both sub-3 earned run averages over 20-plus innings. And then our middle relievers pitched well enough. Salas was our worst middle reliever at 4.12. He was absolutely on fire in this tournament. We did get a meltdown from him at one point. I don't remember where it was, but he was phenomenal. Belisle was great. Misevich was awesome. Belisle with his 3.5 strikeouts per 9 innings and a 235 earned run average is kind of hilarious to me. And so that was our bullpen. It was a short bullpen. It worked out okay. Obviously, they were a mess by the end. I'm going to go a little bit more in depth on my starters. Matt Strom saved this tournament for me, and we're going to get there. My offense, I thought, was a disaster, guys. I had let me make sure it wasn't. Yeah, so we had Ruiz and Evans splitting time at catcher, which I still like. I really like Ruiz and Evans. We had Mountcastle and Martinez platooning at first base, which this is where it gets fun because running a 7-man pen, now all of a sudden you've got an extra batter, right? By being like, I'm just going to run this normal 14-man batting order. I honestly expected a first-round exit in this tournament. Versus righties, I had Kim playing second base and Fletcher backing up second base and shortstop. Jack Dunn at third, platooning with McKinney because I don't have a designated hitter. Not platooning. I don't think I platooned them. I think I just used McKinney as a straight backup and a pinch hitter, which worked out well because McKinney is a very good hitter. Hello, Kat. Thank you for joining me today. Just, push me out of the way. You're cool. Take your spot. And so McKinney is a very good hitter. And so having him as our number one pinch hitter and backing up just one position means he's readily available as that pinch hitter for our pitchers, which matters in these tournaments, right? So we had Fletcher backing up Rosario at shortstop. Rosario was a 285, 320 guy. We'll look at them in depth here in a minute. I had a straight platoon with Jones and Gladden in left field. Jones against righties, Gladden against lefties. Baldelli played center field. Slater played right field every day with Tachman backing both of them up. I'm going to spend some time tomorrow on the stream talking about fatigue sliders. I'm not going to talk about them today. I'll talk about them on my channel tomorrow. Fatigue sliders are really, really important for these long tournaments, and you really need to get them right. And I don't think mine are 100% right now. You can obviously see I've got at least 4 people who are tired here at the end of this round. That's too many. I don't like having that many people fatigued. And so versus lefties, obviously we had Martinez mashing against lefties. We had Fletcher. So I actually had Fletcher starting at second against lefties with Kim backing up second base and shortstop. McKinney was starting at third base against lefties. And so he's a really good hitter against lefties. So I actually did platoon him with Dunn at third base. Even though McKinney's defense leaves a little bit to be desired at third base, we platooned him and he rewarded us with a pretty solid tournament. Rosario was starting every day. Fletcher hit 420. Fletcher hit 422 for me in this tournament, guys. Martinez hit 254. Martinez only hit 1 home run for me in this tournament, with a 316 on base percentage and a 394. So he was probably my weakest link in this tournament, which is a little bit disappointing because I really like him versus lefties. Mountcastle, on the other hand, was an absolute beast. 350 average, 371 on base percentage, 442 slugging, a full WAR out of him over 25 games. I mean, you're looking at a 6 WAR season there if you expand that. Baldelli batted 314 for me, which is just silly. He just had a really silly tournament for me. If we go to the team home screen, you'll see our number one WAR player was Baldelli with Fletcher right behind him, and Davy Jones right behind them, batting 292 with 378 on base percentage. So we went kind of all in on offense and platoons for this tournament, trying to get it going. Now let me show you where Matt Strom. Yeah, David Fletcher was crazy. I run 65 to 70% for bench when tired. So I run 60 to 75% depending on the players. I am considering pushing that up to 70 to 85% depending on the players. And I'm going to talk a little bit more about that tomorrow. Bullpen ERA was 14th out of 128 teams. Starters ERA was a little bit of a mixed bag. We didn't get a lot of Osborne was probably our weakest link there. Offensively, we were 30th in batting average, 40th in on-base percentage, 32nd in OPS, and 41st in weighted on-base average, which you can do worse than that. I mean, top third out of all the teams in the tournament there. Base running, we were 56. Defensively, we were number one in zone rating. There's not really a surprise there as we were in it the longest, but still pretty happy to be there. 13th in defensive efficiency. So the fact that we were top third or so in all of these rate stats, I don't look at runs scored, runs against, doesn't matter. But the fact that we were top third in all of these rate stats while being kind of like top 10% in bullpen with top third in starters ERA while playing really good defense makes me pretty happy. I'm pretty happy with the makeup of this team for this tournament in the long run. I really thought I was not happy with it going into the tournament, and I really thought we were going to go out in the first round. And after game 3, I really thought we were going to be out of it in the first round. So I didn't actively manage the second half of this tournament because I had to leave and go to work. Round 1, we won game 1, 4-1. Nice, easy, ho-hum win. Satchel Paige on the mound, pitched well. The bullpen held it. We look good. Game 2 was a disaster. We went 16 innings in the second game of this tournament, guys. 16 innings in this game. Just ridiculous. Bonham pitched well. Belial got the hold. Twitchell actually blew this save. And we ended up going another 7 innings because of it. We got the win. But at this point, I'm like, we're totally boned for this whole tournament. Just totally boned. I'm like, you know what? But then we had our one pitcher who has good stamina. I had one pitcher in the rotation with good stamina. It was Donovan Osborne with his 77 stamina. I'm like, okay, we can recover as long as Donovan Osborne pitches well here in the third game, right? And so what does Donovan Osborne do? Donovan Osborne goes out there and lays a complete egg and goes 2 1/3 innings, 5 runs on 8 hits, and all of a sudden my bullpen's pitched 18 innings in 2 days. It's just, I was like, all right, we're done. If we had won, then whatever. We just got knocked out of our gold tournament. And so I'm like, we're done. Like, we're just toast. Like, even if we move on from this round, we're just completely toast. So this was the one point in the... Congratulations on your Buck Leonard. This was the one point in this tournament where I actively managed, right? And so what I did was I went into my settings and I said, Matt Strom, you're going to have to save our bullpen. I went, you're going to get a slow hook, 130 pitch count. It doesn't even matter what happens here. We just need you to pitch as much as you can. And Matt Strom went out and dropped 8 1/3 innings of shutout ball on us. 5 hits, 7 strikeouts, 1 walk. Misavich had to throw 13 pitches to close it out in a 3-0 win. And right there, Matt Strom saved this tournament. We did the same thing the next game with Gross. Obviously, it didn't work out quite as well because Salas, we just didn't get the offense going, and then the bullpen blew it a little bit. But instead of having our bullpen pitching 2-3 innings or whatever, they got a little bit of rest. Thankfully, we won Game 6. If we hadn't won Game 6, which also went extra innings, then we were probably done for the tournament. This day of rest and Matt Strom saved my team in this tournament. It was silly. The team that beat me, let's take a look at them. I don't think he's here anymore. He said he was leaving. So this team, I haven't watched it yet, but one of these games Let's see. They had Shireen at third base, Fletcher, Tachman, Crone, Adames, Kiermaier, Merton, and Barnes. Again, completely different lineup than mine, but pretty effective. His Fletcher played really well, too. His Tachman played better than mine. And then this guy, where was it? I don't even know where it was. Crone didn't play game 1 for him. We lost game 1. Game 2 was here. Here's Crone. Wasn't there. What game was it in? So game 3? Not there. We were down. Where is it at? So in one of these games, CJ Crone hit an inside the park home run off of us. I don't know where it was because it wasn't there. Tachman Ruiz. Was it game 4? Was it the game we won? Oh, it was the game I won. So in this game, CJ Crone hit an inside the park home run off of us, which is just hilarious. And we ended up winning that game. That's the only game we won with a 4-run 8th inning. So it was the finals was a little bit of a mess for us. But we made it. We got 40 points towards the finals. Hopefully we place well in some of the other ones too. So yeah, interesting. There were some pretty good back and forth games. I didn't even get to watch these games. I was so busy Saturday afternoon and Saturday evening. But his Kiermaier dropped 7 home runs in this tournament, which is silly. Adames with 6. His rotation was Bonham, Baumgartner, Gross, Page, and Strom, with Twitchell, Nathan Hill, Salas, Clay, Aloma, Jimenez, and McGee in the bullpen. I'm not going to dive too much into his team. My team missed Diamond playoffs by a year, the main team, or by a game last week. We're now back in with the DLL, and we're getting beat up. We're just not. We can't compete with the big teams. How did I decide where to place people in the lineup? Let's talk about that tomorrow, because I got to finish up today. But basically, high on-base percentage, high speed at 1 and 2. If it's a walk-driven on-base percentage, I want him at 1. A hits-driven on-base percentage at 2. Best all-around hitter at 3. Power at 4 and 5. 6 and 7 and 8, I don't care about. 9, I'm going to have a guy who can run the bases when he accidentally gets on base. I wouldn't say I don't care about 6, 7, and 8. There's still some strategy that gets involved there. But overall, that's kind of how I build my lineup. Join me tomorrow. We'll talk about it a little bit more tomorrow. I have some lineup builders that I use. You kind of want to go lefty, righty, lefty, righty, lefty, righty, as much as possible. But obviously, this team is just not cut out for this level. We are getting beat up quite a bit by some of these much better teams than us. We're going to take the 25,000 points we won from the Masters Series. We'll open 35 packs today. How's that sound to you guys? On my spreadsheet. Well, I did. Now it's broken, so. Bullpen roles. I haven't covered bullpen roles too much. It's a mixed bag. Bullpen roles are interesting. And so I try to keep it as simple as possible for my AI, because the AI is not great. Rough start to these packs. Again, just 35 today, but lots of live cards these first couple packs. We'll take a Dylan Bundy here. So closer. I use Twitchell as a closer. You can use him as a stopper if you want. I use stoppers generally instead of setup guys. I think this tournament I used 2 setup guys. I try to get a lefty and a righty, and then set matchups based on hitters, and then everybody else is kind of middle relief. There's a Mickey Tettleton, Detroit Tigers, part of the Harry Halleman Gold Mission, which I already completed. I haven't seen him in gold tournaments at all. There's a Pavin Smith, a Burke, Tex Pruitt. Yeah, it'll be on my personal channel tomorrow. We'll talk a little bit more about sliders, about fatigue settings for our pitchers, and we'll talk about some more things tomorrow. Just not quite enough time today. I got to finish up. It's been a long stream. Bruce Zimmerman, we're just closing out with some packs. Yeah, you're welcome. 28 packs left. Hopefully we get another good hit. Nothing in there. We're going to skip that one. Nothing great there. Mike Gardner. Thanks for hanging out with me today, guys. I appreciate you guys coming out. This is it wouldn't be fun without you guys. I apologize for messing the whole dang spreadsheet up. I'm gonna have it fixed for next week. I gotta rework some things. I cried this morning a little bit when I woke up and it wasn't working. It'll be I have an appointment in the morning, so it'll be about noon Central Standard Time tomorrow is when I'm planning on going live. It'll be a 2 or 3 hour stream tomorrow. We'll take a George Springer here, Jerry Arrigo. We're gonna hit Sunday's Silver Historical Tournament tomorrow. For those who haven't seen my streams, I do kind of the weekly things where we look a little more in depth at the teams and how the players are doing. So we're going to do the Sunday Historical Silver and tonight's Sporers. We'll do quick and dirty rundowns on them. And then we'll talk a little bit about fatigue and stuff like that tomorrow too. Sporers got some good rewards tonight, folks. I do not go as in-depth on the players on the weekly stuff right now as I do on this stream. So there's a Pete Center, Neil Ball, Hank Thormelin. We got 18 packs left. We got here Francisco, Brian Barber, Billy Hamilton, Angel Perdomo, Yolmer Sanchez, Jared Dyson. Holy cow. Can we buy a diamond? Diamond. Raisel Iglesias drops from an 81 to an 80. Cleo Carlisle. Brian McKenna. Michael Felice. Stever gets used on iron a bit. The rest of these guys. Merritt gets used a little bit in caps as a 40 rated reliever. Aguilar, Hembry, Pop. Ugly packs. Guys, we wasted our good pack luck on the team. On the other team. Palumbo in this one. Bobby Wall, Brian Shaw, Ryan Barucki. We got a Tom Bernansky here. Not part of any collections. Eduardo Perez, 1992. He was fun to watch for the Sox in the early 90s. Basic question. What's the app for my personal Twitch? It'll be up at the end. It's Angered Underline Unicorn for my personal Twitch. It'll be here when I go to the final break. It'll be up on the screen at the end as well. I should have it on the bottom here. Jason Adam, Bob Wood, Bergian, Castro, Grabowski, Vega, Almonte, Carlos Hernandez. My goodness, guys. Packs, bad packs. Tavares, Smith, Rengifo, Severinsen, Cole, Lewis, Thorpe. Thorpe's a bronze now. Steve Nagy. My goodness. Guys, these packs are bad. Why do we have to close it out on such a rough note? Because I messed the spreadsheet up. These are bad. Like, I don't even want to talk about any of these players. There's a Yandy Diaz. There's a guy who gets a little bit of play in bronze. At least a guy we talked about today. Thank you for the follow. Oda Shuzik. Is it O-Cusick? I like it. 2 packs left. Yeah, we'll check our missions. Another follow. Coyote Elysium. Thank you. Izada, Whitgren. I don't think we completed any packs or collections today, but we'll check. Oh my god. I almost want to buy 25 more packs just to get the sour taste of that out. Sort by completion percentage, nothing. Let's do it. That was bad. Something good's got to come eventually. Let's get 25 more packs, guys. Bad idea. This was a terrible idea. What do we got? Jeff McNeil. Terrible idea. You're doing a perfect draft. First round is Jackie and Pete Rose. Perfect suit, Jackie. I don't think it's a question. You feel like Clyde Barnhart is a desirable iron? Perhaps. I haven't looked at iron in a bit. I don't want the worms. My wife is feeding the lizard right now. They didn't get better. They did not get better. Oh, they got a little better. That's we'll complete a Tim Salmon Build a Legend collection there. Not great, you know, but better than what we've gotten. That's the best card drop we've got with the good decimals so far today. Derek Lilliquist, Charlie Metro, Vezia. They look like normal packs for you. Josh Donaldson, Scott Cooper, Drew Hutchinson. Donaldson's playing well for the Twins this year. He's off to a good start for them. Here's a Diamond Joe Coleman, finally. Something interesting. Charles Nagy Diamond Mission card. We'll hang on to that one. Pack improvement. Do you think the 100 Pete Rose is better than the Jackie? I haven't looked at the 100 Pete Rose, to be honest. Hogriever, good Iron Cap card. Unsung Heroes card as well. Owens, Griffin Canning. There's a Tanner Scott, Matt Chico. I'm excited for this sandwich. Can't wait to be done with this stream. 12 left. Ugly live pack. There's a Russ Van Atta. No collections there. Frazier. Alfaro. Mayfield. Rojas. Randy Tate. Dave Davenport. 9 left. Turning submissions. Zario Sosa. Eaton, another live pack. McBroom plays some in iron. The ugly, ugly pack. Double Red Sox pack. There's a Pete Alonso. Earl Lambert, Danny Jansen. Was on the catcher list today at least, so we got that going for us. Bo Burrows, Will Vest. Whitman, Fry, Joe Page. Like him versus lefties. Doubled silver, Freddie Leach. Nice, Jesse Winker. What's up, babe? Oh. Boom, Ed Appleton. We'll turn in this one. I think we finished one collection. And that will be it. I'm not buying more packs. That was a waste of time. Made my money back on the second one at least. So we'll lock bronze Tim Salmon, which gets the silver unlock done. Which we'll lock the silver. That's it. We got 3 standard packs left, folks. Thanks for hanging out with me today. I'll be back next Tuesday on the Out of the Park stream with something, I don't know, maybe something better than today. We'll take a Roy Weatherly here. I haven't decided if it'll be silver or iron. Probably silver next week. One last look at silver for this period. And then I'll be on tomorrow on my stream. Silver historical tournament, and my favorite tournament currently in Out of the Park 22. We'll close it with a Yu Darvish. Sporers will be on my channel tomorrow. I can't wait. I'm looking forward to Sporers tonight. I gotta find half an hour to get my team put together. I don't know if I'm going to be able to. So it might just be the quarterfinal finishers from the last 2 weeks. Harry Howman got a Player of the Week award. That's nice. 11-25 right now. Have a good one, guys. Thanks for hanging out with me today, and I'll see you guys later on. Bye.